Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Hello and welcome to a brand new week of Spaced Out Radio. Did you miss me? I missed you guys. And hey, we got a new sign up right here. Look at that. There might be two of them. You got to find the second one later in the show. But we are here. We are back. Thank you so much. It's been an extremely long 2 weeks, but I want to say thank you to Lee, Jackie, Terry, Kira, Dirty Filth, Kat, and of course, the big name, Sweet Robbie G, for the great help in the last 2 weeks of work. I am so glad to be back. Steve Bassett is our guest tonight on the show. We're going to get an update on the UFO story coming up momentarily. But first, let's say hello to each and every one of you, including Tim Mothman and his goatee in the gold medal position. Race fan with a silver. Kitty Caddywhack taking home the bronze medal tonight. Hi, Michael Morris, Robert Lamoth. How you guys doing? Good to see you. And as we continue on with roll call, T-Bone, my man. All right, T-Bone is back. There he is. No ugly swag. That's right. We got great strike. Hey, extra small Lee Strauss. How you doing? Deidre, how are you? Good to see you. Hi, Karen in the Woo Train. Karen in the Woo Train will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Little Timmy James, you're looking good, buddy. Thanks, man. All right. He'll be here for the UFO report a little bit later on. Cosmic Joe, nice to see you back. Les Paul Holland, Vanessa, Deborah Rooney, Corey, how are you? Sean Flynn, welcome to SOR Chat. Mama Catherine, mwah, mwah. You get double the kisses tonight, Mama Catherine, because I missed you so much. I love you so much, dear. I hope you're having a great night. Okay, continuing on with our roll call. There's Noble Patrick. What's happening, my man, as we move on down the list? Lee the Bee, how are you? Good to see you. And Laura Lobbs, nice to have you back. Super Crazy is here. Super Crazy will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Carrying on with roll call, we say hello to John Jackson and Paramarv. Good to see you both. Human Carl is here. Not an alien Carl, but Human Carl, a great veteran of the United States Air Force. Thank you for your service, Human Carl. We love you, man, and we appreciate you. All right, Christine Lynn, thank you for coming on in. So we continue on with our roll call here. And B, thanks for joining us. And who's next here? Rock and Rory, nice to have you back. And well, there he is, the pride of Wimbledon. Glenn John McEnroe hanging on out with us. Phyllis Mouche Perry, Pam Harris, good to see you both. Yennefer with a soft J, I missed you too, my dear. Hope you're doing well. Rose Brooks, good to see you. Ozzy, how's tomorrow looking? Give us an update. Stargazer, nice to see you as we continue on with our roll call. Eternity Eternal and Millennium, my man. Kurt M, Operation Shutdown. And number 22 in your program from Ornsköldsvik, Sweden. Ornsköldsvik. Lars Jansson. There he is. He's starting on defense tonight, by the way. Purple-haired Pixie Lara, good to see you. As we continue on with our roll call, see how we are living. Thomas Rock, good to have you both here. And who's next? Necessary Dialogue. Steel City Coach, how you doing? Good to have you here. Welcome to SOR Chat. Deborah Rudy, thank you for kicking off this super chat tonight. Very much appreciate your love and support. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Now, let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. The UFO story, where is it right now? Stephen Bassett from the Paradigm Research Group is going to join us momentarily. We are saying hello to our audience in our YouTube chat for roll call. We have Alien Critter, Sandra Kincaid. How are you? And who's next? Matthew Goodka. Algaray over on Twitch literally did 586 push-ups in 18 minutes to get ready for tonight's show. Jessica S. Good to see you. Michael Fontaine. JMJ12. How are you? Warden Dragon. Thanks for coming on in. And, of course, there's Vinster. What's happening, Vinny, my man? Thank you for coming on in. And Lex Diaz. Good to see you. Melvin from Mars. Nice to have you here. JT Truth Seeker. What's happening? Here we go, everyone. Throw those horns up. Let's rock, everybody. Here we go. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this is, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a power show of UFO information tonight from the Paradigm Research Group. Stephen Bassett will be here momentarily to break down the latest in new UFO news and what's happening for the rest of the summer. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller is back to kick off hour 3. And no, we haven't said goodbye to our good friend. Yeah, our good friend. He's going on the weekends with Rob. Yeah, big change there. And, of course, the UFO report with our main man, Tim James, who is here. But first, let us get right to it. I'm so pumped up about being back tonight. For our radio audience, you don't know I actually took 2 weeks off. And we were doing a bunch of work in the basement of the studio, getting all the dirty stuff figured out. You know, all the stuff that builds up over time. You know how you build those piles up in your house in every corner of your house? Well, Spaced Out Radio is the same way. We got rid of all of those. We did. But now we're back on the air, and Stephen Bassett is the executive director of the Paradigm Research Group. He founded it in 1996 to end a government-imposed embargo on the truth behind ETs and the related phenomena. Stephen is a legend in this field. I don't think there is another word to call him besides a legend in this field. He has spoken to audiences around the world, probably spoken over time, well over 500,000 to 1 million people to hear his messages. The formal confirmation by the heads of state of an extraterrestrial presence engaging the human race is called disclosure. That's what Steve wants. And are we getting any closer? Let's bring him in to find out. Stephen Bassett, my good friend, it is always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio. How you been doing?
I'm still here, hanging in. It's been interesting times. What can I say?
I hope you don't mind me calling you a legend, because I know you're a pretty humble guy. But I think, I don't think I'm wrong in saying that, you deserve that legendary status for all of the hard work and everything that you do. You never say no you to an interview. You never say no to jumping on last minute. You're at every conference you could get to try and get the message out. And you are a vocal proponent of the UFO subject right across North America and the world. Where do you find the energy for all of this, my man?
Well, first of all, every time somebody uses that word, I feel like I age about 6 months. All right. So it's like, trust me, it's not you're going, oh, legend. Yes. Good. No. And I'm getting up there where I don't have that many 6 months left. So, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Look, I'm persistent, if anything. My energy comes from the fact that I'm basically, I got OCD and I'm ADHD or ADD. I didn't know that I was ADD when I was younger. But later on in life, I realized, yeah, and that explained a lot. Back then, they didn't have a name for that stuff. But I was somebody who couldn't sit still, always moving. Reading a book was tough. I read them, but didn't come easy. And then I also had OCD when I was younger. A couple of bad runs. So that you put that together, and what you get is some qualities that could be very useful in activism. Because in activism, you need to be, well, first of all, it's a frenetic kind of thing, activism, and it lends itself to people that want to be doing something, going here, going there. And OCD comes in is useful in terms of raw persistence and repetitive stuff, and I'm good at that too. And so these are the things that drive me. I call that energy. Plus, I don't really have anything else to do. I mean, this is it, right? I haven't cultivated any hobbies. I didn't learn how to play the piano. This is pretty much it. And so, you put it all together, and I'm 28 years in, still here.
And you're still pushing hard. You're still pushing hard. You have talked to people from every facet of the UFO corner. You've talked to people who are experiencers who've cried on your shoulder. You've talked to people in Washington, D.C., from governors and senators and every aide in between. You've talked to Secret Service. You've talked to alphabet agents. You've talked to everybody. Is there, Steve, any message that you have been able to correlate throughout this entire process that you have really stuck to your guns with in all the people you've talked to?
Let me clarify what you just said. Let me do some corrections here. I am a citizen activist and a communicator. And by and large, my job is to try to understand what's going on and convey it to just regular people, right? Who are going to be affected by this, obviously. Everybody in the world is going to be affected by this. And so I'm a populist. I've talked to lots of people and researchers and contactees. I've given tons of interviews and been to a lot of conferences. I haven't talked with senators or people in the DOD. I don't have access to those offices. I may have a little more access in the near future, but others went there, and it's not easy to go there. And in fact, to engage at certain levels, you really have to have a lot more funding, a lot more substance. You got to be pushing a lot more money. I never had that. So I'm like a populist, as I'm a communicator. And so that is the nature of my activism. Now, that may change a little bit because I'm about to become a 501c3. I'm waiting on the file from the IRS, in which case I can start raising tax deductible money. And I may convert PRG into more of like a think tank, and maybe I'll get some more access. But I don't want to leave that hanging there. I talk to regular people. I listen, right? And so in that sense, I'm a populist, and we need that. And I'm happy to do it. I'm more comfortable talking to just regular people than I am big shots. Not that I can't do that. It's just that, that's just not my area. So with that in mind, I am very fortunate to be in the middle of this process with connections to people even far more connected than I. and following it pretty well. So I have a good grasp of it because of certain things that I do, like my print media archive. And so I'm able to, again, convey to people what's happening. And that is important because the truth embargo, by definition, is an effort on the government to keep you in the dark, to keep you misinformed or completely uninformed, or to misrepresent, confuse you, which dictatorships and autocracies do all the time. But most people in those countries sort of know that. But in the United States, you don't think you are dealing with a dictatorship or an autocracy, and so you're assuming that you're going to be getting the right information, and in many cases you are. But on this issue, no, it's been embargoed since 1947. So the American people are just in a quandary, trying to understand it while they lead their lives and deal with all the other stuff that's going on, and they don't have time to read hundreds or thousands of articles. They don't have time to follow the social media on this. I can barely do it, and only partially, because it's compared to 96 now, it's like a gusher. All right. But I do my best. And then I try to give people an understanding of it so they might participate in the process itself, including getting disclosure from the president, and certainly participate in the post-disclosure world, which is going to be a very different world with a lot of interesting possibilities, opportunities, and opportunity to maybe change and fix things like that. So that's kind of what I do, Dave. And that's why anybody with a podcast calls me up, I'm going to do it because that's my people. I call it the podcast army and the Twitter space infantry.
I love it.
And we are powerful, and we're getting more powerful all the time.
Steve, you have, talked to literally hundreds of thousands of people, podcast wise, radio shows, YouTube channels, conferences over the last few decades regarding this subject. And a lot of people have always asked you, is disclosure ever going to come? Are we ever going to get the government to admit about disclosure? Now, I know you're a guy who always sees the glass half full when it comes to this subject. How do you feel about that right now? Because, the world is in a little bit of a shamble. There's a lot of bad stuff happening, whether it's war, whether it's finances, interest rates, climate change, whatever it may be, or whatever suits your fancy. How do we find the time for a subject like UFOs when a lot of people will sit there and say, well, there's a lot of real world problems we need to be worried about right now rather than UFOs?
That's been the case with every activist movement in history. Every major activist movement trying to speak truth to power and get some sort of justice or proper accountability or change a policy of authority, every one of them has faced those same exact arguments. Like, there's more important things than this, In other words, women wanted the right to vote. There were a lot of people saying, why do you want that? It's just, why? You don't have to worry about it. The men will do the voting. You can just take care of the kids. And it's just one less thing to worry about. So what we really don't want to spend on time in that. That's the way it's been. You don't have the right to vote. Why change that? They heard all of that stuff. And I could go down the list one after another. But we know that all these movements had to happen and had to succeed. And all of those arguments ultimately fell to the side. It's the same thing with this issue, of course. It's 77 years on, which as an activist movement is not particularly long. If you look at the major social activist movements of the 20th century, some of which go back into the 1800s, about 70, 80, 90 years is not unusual. It's almost like 3 generations. So it's hard to complain. Now, it's also the case that this activist movement is like no other. Pick any of the major activist movements of the 20th century, both in the United States or around the world. They're not like this one. This is unique in one very profound respect. And that is, it is a movement to get the truth about something very, very important when the absolute ruling authority, the government of our country, and the government of all the allies to our country have the position that the thing you want to get the truth about doesn't even exist. That's what do you do, right? Activist movements don't have that problem. right? People that were opposing the embargo of Cuba and being activists about that. Most of it occurred in Florida. They felt the embargo could end. The government basically said no, it's still essentially in place. But the government never denied that Cuba was there, right? No problem. Okay, and people that are, there are people that are activists about nuclear power, that they want to see less of it, or there's certain power plants they want to be shut down, or they're activists about the storage of nuclear waste, which is affecting certain communities. It's a very legitimate area. It's not major, but it's pretty important. The government doesn't constantly say repeatedly that what power plants. There are no nuclear power plants out there. There's no nuclear waste. Why are you wasting our time? And I could just go down the line. This is the only activist movement ever that has had to face that dilemma. And so that gives it a special quality, makes it harder in some respects. It also makes it a little tougher for the government to maintain it in some ways. So this is the hand that was delivered to us in July of 1947, when the government essentially made the decision, which they continued. It was a temporary decision, but ultimately they finalized it, that this is an issue that they will not acknowledge. The public don't have a right to know about it. They will resist, suppress, and undermine efforts to learn about it to the extent they can without violating too many of our very nice laws. And 77 years on, that's still their position, which would say, well, I think what's unusual about a government or an empire or a kingdom or anything else taking a position on something and maintaining it for 70 years. That's true. Happens all the time. Except this one is the unique one, right? They deny the existence of the thing that you were trying to get revealed. But every year that goes by, more and more people see it, learn about it, find out about it, research it, study it. And so every year that goes by, the fundamental premise becomes increasingly bogus, and yet they still have to keep doing it.
It's funny you mentioned that. It's funny you mentioned that because I was talking yesterday to a YouTube friend of mine, Chris Ramsey, and he has over 7 million subscribers on YouTube, and he's starting to get into
this guy.
Oh yeah. Reach out to him. He's a great guy, and he'd love to be able to talk to you because he's starting to get into this field of UFO research quite heavily, and we're going to have him on in a couple weeks here on the show. And I was talking to him about it, and I said, I was talking about my YouTube channel because even though we broadcast on terrestrial radio, you still have to have a social media presence. And, I was telling him about my frustration. We only have 26,000 subscribers. I think we should be in my goals, I thought we would be at 100, 200,000 by now. And he says, part of the big problem that you have, Dave, is exactly like you just said, as the medium grows, more and more people are going to get into this subject, which dilutes everything. Okay. But is that dilution better for the community rather than having a few staples of consistency? You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And
no, it's better.
It is better.
Look, first of all, there's a range of skills that you can get into. There's all kinds of websites that'll teach you this, how to maximize your social media. There's all kinds of little tricks, and there are companies that specialize in this. You pay them money. I haven't gone there. A lot of the reason for that is a lot of the people that are in this, they're not in it as a business, and so they don't approach it that way. But the ones that do, you can definitely increase your subscribers and so forth. And so I would encourage people to take advantage of that information and skills that are out there to the extent that they can do it for free. And if they have the means, they can hire specialists that increase their social media. This is a non-trivial thing. This is not a business to me, and I've never gone there. And it may have been a huge mistake. I mean, I've got 36,000 Twitter followers. I know that if I really put my mind to it and used all the little tricks, I could probably increase it greatly, but I'm just letting it grow organically. Again, probably a mistake. But the larger point is this. we know what the potential for social media is. If you devote yourself to it, if you hit the right note, 100,000, a million, 2, 5, 10, 50, 20, 40, 50, 60 million subscribers or simply followers is doable. And so we have a term in our world now, which didn't exist really until recently, called influencer. And I assure you, when it comes to governments and ruling authorities and so forth, this is a term they're not thrilled about. All right. The idea that there are people out there who can have 50 to 60, 70, 90 million followers, that if they put out a tweet, it gets 400,000 comments, and they can recommend a product, for instance, and suddenly it sells out overnight. They can make or break. This is power. And you're starting to see more of these influencers use that power. Logan Paul, the Beast. Believe me, these are important people, depending upon how they want to use the power that they have gained. Followers is power. And the truth embargo never had to deal with this until recently. For most of the 77 years, they had no idea this was coming. And now it's here. And unless they shut these platforms down, they're going to have to deal with that. And so there are politicians out there right now who would do anything if Taylor Swift would endorse them. Oh my God, they would do anything. And she could if she wants to. And it's the same thing with many other. Even having 2 or 3 million is important. And so if I had to start over again, I would start out with the idea is I'm going to get in this field in 1996. And when the social media showed up around 2000, I was going to do everything I could to get to 1 million followers. I didn't do that. I should have, but I didn't. And so one of the reasons that we're on the 1 yard line right now, I'm going to go with football metaphors because baseball don't make for good metaphors, and football season is about to start. One of the reasons we're on the 1 yard line, it's a timeout. We're in timeout. Maybe it's a 2-minute warning, whatever. And that close to the goal line, that close to disclosure, is because of a whole range of things that didn't exist 50, 20 years ago. And one of them is the power of social media and the power of influencers. And so one of the reasons that we set up the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, Dan Harari and I, is that as a formal nonprofit entity bringing people together, we saw the opportunity there where people that are influencers on the internet might be attracted to it and say, look, I'd like to be a founding member of the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. And they walk in the door, get their photo up in their bio, HollywoodDisclosureAlliance.org, and they just happen to have 2.6 million followers on Instagram or Twitter or all three or TikTok. So this is citizen power. But then you've got the podcast army. You got the Twitter space. Clubhouse seems to have fallen aside, but Twitter space infantry, this is non-trivial stuff. But we were able to talk about this at length for hours. I just did a 2-hour interview. I'm going to do 2 more hours now. The truth embargo never had to deal with this in the 40s or 50s or 60s or 80s. And so they really are losing badly. And in fact, they've really lost already. They don't know it. But they're clinging, right? They're holding on, right? They're on that. They're up against us. We're on the 1 yard line, and they're determined to keep us from getting that touchdown. All right. And social media plays a role. Every podcast plays a role. So what I want to do tonight is explain to you what being on the 1 yard line means. All right. So first, who's on our team and who's on their team?
Yeah.
Who's on our team? Okay. We got the Senate Intel Committee, pretty much total. We've got Chuck Schumer, Majority Leader of the Senate. We've got one of the key senators on the Senate Armed Services Committee, Mike Rounds, and probably a number of other members of the Senate who are staying back, but they're on board, as well as many staffers. In the House, we have a number of red state conservatives, led by Tim Burchett, Paulina Luna, and Nancy Mace.
Hold that thought, Steve. We're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Let's go to commercial break. Then we're going to come back. We're going to finish this list, the who's who of where the support is coming from. Steve Bassett from the Paradigm Research Group on Spaced Out Radio. The UFO update continues right now with one of the best in the field and the most knowledgeable when it comes to keeping up to date with the UFO story. This is Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back, everybody. Stay tuned. All right, we are clear, my man. Good start. Good start.
Okay.
I won't use the L word around you anymore.
Well, let me put it this way: it's flattering, but it does make me feel old.
I know, but you know what, Steve? I think that's also a term of endearment and respect because of the hard work that you have done and that you continue to do for the sake of this subject. And there are very, like I hold you like Grant Cameron, Richard Dolan, and many others in that regard. And there's, I look at this new wave of ufology that even I would be in there, and I don't see anybody kind of picking up the torch from where you guys were.
Well, the work, most of the work's been done, right? In other words, the new people that are arriving, they don't know it yet, but they're actually getting into the post-disclosure world. Most of their contributions are going to be after the disclosure event takes place, and that's going to be super cool.
Yeah.
But most of the work has been done to get us to that point. But we're welcome. But they're not going to have to become legends of the disclosure activist movement, because it's about to happen right now. So they're going to find their space in the post-disclosure world and what they do there. I hope to spend some time there myself. Hopefully not too, a reasonable number of years. So the legends, the long servers have done their job, and we're almost there. A number of them didn't make it, as we know, who put in more years than I didn't make it. We're going to lose a few more before disclosure comes. I know of several that are right there. But then the job is to pass the torch, not on to people to have to fight for disclosure for the next 40 years, but in a post-disclosure world. Just like the Civil Rights Movement. They fought for so many years to get the Civil Rights Act, get the Voting Rights Act, so they could pass the needs of people of color to another generation that was going to then operate in the post legislative era, where they had that legislation and therefore they could work to improve the lives of people, but with that legislation in place. And that's where we are in this movement. So the next group of legends are going to be in a different, spending decades in the post-disclosure world, where there will be plenty to do.
I think it's going to be great, my man.
I think
it's going to be great once to see where it kind of pans out and everything. We'll get more into that when we get back from break here in a couple of minutes here. We got about 2 minutes here. Oh, more like 2.5. So, yeah, for our audience out there who hasn't seen me in a while, hi Sandra. We have been working very diligently on the back end of everything, including our Spaced Out Radio store. We got a bunch of new swag up there. Hi, Geek Calgary. How you doing? We got a bunch of new swag up there that you can actually go and check out. I got some new favorites out there, including the new Alien Lube t-shirt. Right? You're going to want one of those, the Alien Lube t-shirt. The We Own the Night Owl t-shirt is gorgeous. We got some new mugs. We got some new shirts, some new hoodies. Yeah, we got some really cool stuff out there. So make sure you head on over to spacedoutradio.com/shop and check it on out, guys, because it is pretty damn awesome what we were able to create out there. And I thank Lee and Jax and Rob for helping us put it on. It'll fit, Patrick. Noble Patrick, it will fit. Why? Because we don't buy and make ugly swag. I did not add any ugly swag, Deb. No ugly swag. Nothing ugly there. Because nobody wants to wear ugly swag. Nobody. I'm just saying. You got to keep it nice. You got to keep it going. That's right. As Sweet Robbie G says, as far as the underwear goes, you try it, you buy it. You know, it's the truth. But we got some really cool stuff out there, stuff that it's going to make you laugh, stuff that's going to make you want to wear it. And yeah, we even got a UFO blankie now. The old official UFO blankie. Yeah. Yeah. Everybody needs a blankie. All right. Steve, we got about 17 seconds. Thank you tonight to Deb, Eternity Eternal, West 53, Noble Patrick, and Big Dog for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love and support. Continue it up, people. And here we go with the second half hour, everybody. Here comes the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott, and we're talking UFOs with Stephen Bassett from the Paradigm Research Group. Before we bring Steve back on, I want to remind all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. We are on every major podcast network. It is free. And the only thing I want in return is hit follow, hit subscribe. You know, give us a good review. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. All right, Steve Bassett, Paradigm Research Group. Right before the break, Steve, you were talking about the allies of ufology. Who's helping out? Who's pushing the cause forward? And you were talking about Tim Burchett, Anna Paulina Luna, and around that list. Let's continue that on.
Yeah, again, football analogy. We're on the 1 yard line. Who's on our team in order to score the touchdown? Right, get disclosure, which is what that means. And I mentioned House, Senate, so forth. We've also got the podcast army, which is growing all the time. And it's on multiple platforms. There are a lot of people that have a podcast on 6, 7, 8 platforms. So you've got a huge, massive growing of podcasts directly talking about this issue relentlessly. We've got that going on. All right. We've also got influencers. And they're starting to get in. They're starting to creep in a little bit more. Perfect example. Logan Paul has 26 million subscribers to his YouTube channel. It's a big number. He's got 6.6 million Twitter followers. Recently, he asked a presidential candidate about the UFO issue. He may go there again. And when he does that, you understand what happens. Boom, goes out. Joe Rogan has, I think, 9 million Twitter followers. And I forget how many people watches his show. But he has engaged the ET issue, UFO issue, number of times, and so he's one of the leaders in that regard. The impact of these people with these massive followings in social media or on netcast platforms or whatever is just relentless. And the truth embargo is having to stand up against that. We got that on our side. Okay, we've got the media increasingly on our side. Now I may do a share here. If you can do this, we'll do a present. Hang on. Share screen. Let's see. I'm going to go here. Let's take a look at my print media archive for a second. This is my print media archive where I'm logging in links to articles. And then they're literally one page for each year. So you can word search each page, right? And so in 2023, I triaged out of about 5,000 articles, the most ever, 1,800 articles on this subject, covering every aspect of it, 99% positive. The year before, 812. The year before that, over 1,000. We're on a pace to about 1,000 this year, a lot of competing coverage. This is an enormous amount of media coverage, and it is triage from the fluff and the silliness and the nonsense. It's not irrelevant or fringe press. These are legitimate press. Hundreds of articles by the New York Times and Washington Post, ABC, CBS, NBC. It's all there. A lot of people don't even realize how much coverage we're getting from the mainstream media, and it is 90 plus, 95% plus positive. There's no silliness, there's no ridicule, it's just straight coverage, and there's the odd article. So we've got that on our team. We've also got specialized media. Let me share this one with you. 1 second. There's a couple of these. Let me go back here. Present. Share screen. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Share screen. Share. Okay. Here is one I particularly like. I'm going to share this with you. This is, come on. Where is it? Do you see it? Liberation Times. Is that it showing
Yes.
it? Okay. This is a specialty publication out of the UK, which is completely run, edited, produced by Christopher Sharp, who also writes for a couple of the UK papers. Now, it is a great site. The beauty of this is these are great articles. They're well done. It's solid journalism, and it is nothing but about this issue. So you go to the Liberation Times and just go back to when it started. It's only been out for about a year and a half. And you can start back and then go forward, or start at the top and go backward. And in just by reviewing the articles that Christopher Sharp has written, you can get a very comprehensive understanding of what has happened, right? Because he's covering it exclusively. That's all he does. All right. And we've got that. And then we've got the debrief, obviously, which has done a substantial amount of coverage, some of which is Pulitzer Prize level. All right, so we have that. So this specialized media, independent, in some cases run by one person. And then we've got Billy Cox. Billy Cox has got a blog about this called Life in Jonestown. It's a subscriber blog. He's been writing about this subject for 30-some years. He may have written more articles on this subject than anybody. Life in Jonestown. You can go there and you can just literally drench yourself in this information. Again, none of this existed in the early days of the truth embargo. All right. And so that's on our side. Who else have we got on our side? Well, we have organizations being formed. We're getting more funding, substantive organizations. In just a few years, the New Paradigm Institute finally came together after many years of trying to get it done. Danny Sheehan, it's a subsidiary of the Romero Institute, is a 501c3. It's already raised substantial money. It's going to raise a lot more. It's got multiple projects going, educational, political activism. It's the real deal. It has a substantial board. It has a number of lawyers that are already working with it. They're writing legislation. NewParadigmInstitute.org. I think Danny Sheehan is the leader of the disclosure movement right now, to be honest with you. Recently, a scientific think tank was put together under primarily led by Gary Nolan, the Nobel Prize nominee, geneticist at Stanford. Boom, comes together. Scientific think tank. Another gentleman launched the UAP Disclosure Fund, a 501c4 political entity that's going to be raising money, I think, to give to candidates who want to support the disclosure process and or disclosure issues in the post-disclosure world. That just came together. Right, MUFON is hired a professional lobbyist. They've been up on the Hill lobbying now for a couple of years, and documentaries are in the works. Hollywood has jumped in. Hollywood is now on our side. One of the most powerful producers in all of Hollywood, J.J. Abrams and Steven Spielberg, within just the last 2 years, have put out 2 nonfiction series on this subject, essentially documentary series. Now, they didn't use enough. They didn't draw upon a lot of my colleagues enough to get consulting. They didn't reach out to us because there's this kind of gap between the high-end content world and the UAP people because of the truth embargo and the ridicule. So they made some big mistakes. But nevertheless, Abrams put out UFO 4-part series, highest rated series in the history of Showtime. It's a documentary series on this subject. And then a year later, Spielberg puts out Encounters, 4-part documentary series on this subject. People don't think how important that is. That's massive, right? In other words, these 2 guys have sent the message out to the whole industry. They're like, hey, this is a happening thing. We're on board. These are documentaries. And they've got 1,000 times more money than the people in our world that have been working on this my hope is to get the people in our world to start having access to those kinds of funds and consulting with these projects. All right, so that's happening. There's more in the works. There's documentaries in the works. There's books in the works. Luis Elizondo's book is pre-selling like crazy. It's going to sell a ton. There's a documentary behind that. Chris Bledsoe's amazing story, UFO of God, selling like crazy. Amazing story. There's a document. There's a full-blown film in the works behind that, and I could go on. All of this is on our side, as we stand on the 1 yard line facing the end zone. All right, and I could go on. Now, who's on their side? Who's opposing us, trying to keep us out of the end zone to get disclosure? Okay. A significant number of people who work in the Department of Defense, who are national security operatives or managers or whatever, who believe, probably honestly, that the truth embargo is a primary national security policy that should never end, that we simply do not have the right or the need to know this, and it's against our national interest.
Right.
Their numbers are shrinking, but they're there. All right. Defense contractors. Defense contractors have had and made a fortune working on this technology in USAP programs, unacknowledged special access programs, for decades. They've acquired amazing knowledge in engineering issues. They hope to eventually capitalize on that, but and frankly, they're not going to really be able to make big bucks until we get disclosure. But in the meantime, because they are working for the government, they're being paid by the government to do this re-engineering and science on these crash vehicles or whatever else they have. They don't want the government to get angry at them. And so if the truth embargo is the policy of the government, they're going to support it. We've got them. We've got certain members of Congress who are on the other side opposing us. There are some that I think are national security based, but some of it is based on the fact that if we get disclosure, that is, as I defined it back in 2000 or so, the confirmation from our president, either because the president went first and did it, or because he had to, or she had to, because another head of state did it first. And whoever that president is going to be the president of somebody's opposing party. And so you can have some opposition politically because they don't want disclosure to happen on the opposing party's watch. And then there are a number of people in Congress that are getting heavy donations from defense contractors. And the defense contractors don't want this to go forward, and they support it for that reason.
Steve, without getting too political, we do have an election in the United States coming up here in November.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see the UFO topic getting on board? I know that Danny Sheehan's group tried to get a question into the CNN for their political debate on this. That never panned out, unfortunately. But do you see UFOs taking center stage during the election run at all?
No. It may not get in at all because, well, okay. So I've described the teams, and we really outnumber the opposition now. We've got more players on the field than they have, right? But they've got secrecy on their side. They've got some classification status and so forth. But we really have a formidable lineup there on the 1 yard line, which is why I believe we are about to succeed. But the disclosure process, which is underway, has had to deal with extraordinary historical circumstances, which is not unusual. We've dealt with it before, but nothing quite like this. I mean, 911 definitely interrupted the process. Stephen Greer was making substantial progress. 911 really set that back. Development started happening in late 2002. Steven Spielberg's 20-hour series Taken on about the whole issue, particularly about abduction. The creation of the Coalition of Freedom of Information that was championed by John Podesta. All of that is happening in 2002, late in the year. And then we go into Iraq and basically invade the entire Middle East. I mean, just calamity. And that blows that out of the water. So we've been dealing with this, but nothing quite like what we've had. So the end the end game starts 7 years ago in December of 2017 It continued to move forward and pick up speed. And then as we get into the key era, which is 2020, which is when the first legislation was passed, all right, we had the worst pandemic in modern history, an absolute calamity. The death toll was in the millions, and the economic toll was almost immeasurable. So massive thing. Obviously, that took priority. Then a war starts in Europe that probably has the most potential to possibly trigger a nuclear war than anything that we've seen in a while. All right. And then, of course, we go through a unprecedented political era in which the democracy and the social contract itself is in serious danger. The failures and the mistakes of the U.S. government over the last 7 decades have finally come to roost. I mean, we made terrible decisions. We did terrible things. We undermined the trust in government. The truth embargo was part of that. We undermined our moral authority. We didn't fix things. We let our political processes degrade. And so, not surprising, things started really going bad. And that really got underway in the last 5 or 6 years, though it certainly was in progress going back 20, 25 years. And so now we're going through times and issues politically that we've never experienced in a modern era. I was 1.5 blocks, a couple of blocks away when the capital of the United States was overrun by American people. And it's easy to forget about that. Like, oh, doesn't that happen all the time? No, it doesn't. Taking shits inside the Capitol, trashing desks, breaking windows, attacking cops. Oh, I lived through the entire anti-war movement from 1964 all the way to 75. We didn't have that. And then we've had political divides and also political developments that are just off the scale. And so we've had to deal with that. And just to make sure that this was not going to be easy, that we were not going to get in the end zone on a pass, an absolute disaster breaks out in the Middle East. Catastrophe. And so what the message that I want to give to people is that rather than look at, oh my God, all of this is going to prevent disclosure from happening, it's just the opposite. What is so remarkable is in spite of all of this, the disclosure process has steadily moved forward relentlessly, period. It has just kept going forward. It has not really gone back. It's had some blowback. It's had some issues. But no, in spite of all of that, we're on the 1 yard line. All right, so that is the overall context of where we stand and why I feel we're very close. We could have had it in 2023. Everything was pretty much in place. But because the Schumer bill got gutted, a little bit of a setback, all right, and then the political situation got worse, it kept pushing the ability to get a hearing in front of the Senate Intel Committee forward and forward and forward. Mark Warner didn't want to pull the trigger. I know he was afraid that he didn't want that hearing, which was important in and of itself. He couldn't predict if it might affect the outcome of the election. I mean, it's a nonpartisan issue, but he's still a Democrat. And so if he holds that hearing and this thing blows up in the middle of the election process, the campaign process, it might affect who wins. Too risky. Risk averse. That's the way most politicians are. But it's more than that.
Yes.
So it got pushed forward, and finally it got so late, there was really no way we were going to get that hearing until after the election, which is where we are now.
Well, Anna Polina Luna said the other day, so we got about 5 minutes to go before we got to go to break, Steve, that look for new hearings after they come back, probably October. Do you see those hearings taking place that close to the election?
If there's any hearings, it will be in the House. It will be Burchett, Poluna, Anna Polina Luna, Mace. They're kind of like a rogue operation, right? They're doing their thing and give a damn what the White House thinks or what the DOD thinks, DOD. And so they may pull some witnesses together and they may hold a hearing, and we'll see how that goes. But the hearing the hearing that we have to set the president, whoever it is, up to be able to end this truth embargo, which is what all of this has been about since 2017, it's got to be in front of the Senate Intel Committee, maybe the Senate Armed Services Committee, but no, I mean, the Senate Intel Committee has been championing this all along. It is one of the most powerful, important, and nonpartisan committees. So if 40 witnesses, let's say 20 witnesses, are going to sit down under oath and give extraordinary information, just like Grush, only much more, with 10, 20, 50, 100 million people watching, it's going to be in front of that Intel Committee. And when that hearing is over, might take a week, the president can walk out and confirm the ET presence without any problems whatsoever. That's what's going to happen, right? And should happen. But anything else along the way is helping. So we'll see. I'm going to predict they won't have a hearing the closer we get to the election. The ability to get people to kind of get with you on that, it's going to look like a distraction. This is going to be one of the most intense, heavily advertised, intense campaigns ever. The amount of money that's going to be spent and the amount of ads we're about to see and hear is going to be like a tsunami. Massive amounts of money are going to be spent. And so trying to insert a side issue at all into this, it's going to be quite a feat. But they can do it, right? If they can get the witnesses and the chairman of the subcommittee goes along with it, then we may have another hearing like we had with Grush. But right now I'm focused on something else, something more important, which I'm happy to tell you now if we have the time. When's the break?
We got 3 minutes here.
Okay, let me just set up the stage. The most important thing of late is extremely important, but almost nobody knows about it because it happened on July the 11th. And before the press could even kind of get wind of it, a fairly disturbed young man tried to assassinate a presidential candidate, which is not something we really needed right now. And so, boom, that event of July 11th has not really been engaged yet and may not be for a while. However, I'm engaged with it. I know what's going on, and it's incredibly significant. Just to give you a tip, to let you know what we'll get into after the break is this. Chuck Schumer, after the UAP Disclosure Act was basically gutted in the last National Defense Authorization Act, so that they left a rump there that was meaningful but without power. So it was like, okay. It's like the DOD was like, okay, we're good. The contractors were going, we're good. He went in front of the Senate, a camera in the Senate, and read into the record with Mike Rounds, we're not done yet. We're coming back on this, which really scared the defense contractors and the DOD, right? In fact, it frightened them so much that they realized that just gutting that bill was not enough. And so they decided to go one step further and put out a Condon report, not 2024 version of the Condon report called the Arrow Study, and got Sean Kirkpatrick, unfortunately for him, to sign it and put it out saying, we've done all the studies, back, there's nothing there. The whole report is a complete lie. But that was a Hail Mary pass. And they did that. They feel like they set things back. The media stepped back for a while, focused more on the politics. So we've gotten less media coverage, but the report has been savaged on social media. It's a total joke and a disgrace. So that happened. And then they're thinking, okay, are we is this going to work? Are we going to get away with this? No, because on July the 11th, Chuck Schumer did exactly what he threatened to do when he went in front of a camera in the Senate last year, about 2 weeks after the bill was gutted and then eventually signed by the president. And when we get back from the break, we're going to go into that, and I'm going to share it with you a little bit. But I want to really go into this so people can understand how important this is.
Right. Steve, I also want you to touch on transparency in hour number 2, because we keep hearing this word. We need transparency through the UFO disclosure process, and there's been none. There's been none whatsoever in regards to getting us the juice of what's going on. We're getting the little crumbs, But we're not getting the glass of juice that we need to drink for this subject. And I want to get your opinion on that. Stephen Bassett from the Paradigm Research Group is here on Spaced Out Radio tonight. We will be right back, everybody. Stay tuned. We're coming up right after this. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, Steve, we got about 6 minutes. I'm going to put you in the green room. All right, Dirty Filth, all yours for a couple of minutes. We'll be right back, guys. Don't forget to turn your mic on, Filthy.
Oh, crap. I swear I pushed the button. Dave was marginally right. Anyways, yes. So I drew a cartoon here of the javelin toss. And then I mentioned something else important, and there were some cats there. Oh, yes, the cats helped me spill my tea. So I'm short a glass of tea. It's terrible. We're mostly caught up, and the gremlin has passed out right to my left. So, yes. I believe that situation happened in like 1997 or something like that. There was a guy who threw a javelin and hit one of the judges. Excuse me. So, yes. Well, it's all going to disappear anyways. And then it'll just be like, oh, it was just a grizzly bear on its back legs. A second here. Excuse me. Now, let's see here. Yes. Oh, the kitties. Yes, Jennifer. The blob's okay. Whiskey's good. Gargoyle's fine. Gremlin's passed out. He's like right there. I would harass him, but that wouldn't be very nice. So, in other news, I went to the Edmonton Art Walk. It was great. There was a lot of, I believe there's 400 artists there. It was the top art walk that Edmonton's ever had. So, Strathcona Community Services guys put on a good show. And yeah, definitely going to go back next year. If you're ever in Edmonton, Canada, early part of July, go to the art walk. Awesome place. Discombobulated with Mercury in retrograde. But yes, it's the drawing for tonight. Got a couple good ideas for the rest of the week. And I'm going to go to work tomorrow and draw cartoons and bug the cats. I think Dave's just about late. Oh, no, I'm early. Bloody hells. Cats on camera. I don't know. I'll have to buy another camera. I do have an extra camera. I'd have to probably.
Right on. Great piece of work, Filthy.
Thanks, Dave. I couldn't find a blob. Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. All right. While we're waiting, let's try this out. Hold on. Hey, everyone, guess what? We do not have ugly swag. We have spaced out radio gear that you're going to want to wear. Why? Because no one wants to wear ugly clothing. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com and go shopping today. You'll be glad you did. And it's a great way to support our show. Once you get your gear, send us a picture of you rocking out in your SOR swag. spacedoutradio.com. Shop there today and make yourself look good. That's nice. That's nice right there. That was nice.
Love it.
Let's bring Steve back in. Steve, how you doing, buddy?
Still here.
We got about 1 minute before we're going to launch. I want to say a big thank you to Kira, Big Dog, Noble Patrick, West Area 53, Eternity Eternal, and Deborah Rooney for the great super chats as we continue on with Spaced Out Radio tonight. Stick around. Swamp Dweller makes his return. Yeah. Steve Stockton will be moving over to weekends with Sweet Robbie G. We got everything covered for you. Everything covered for you. And we feel renewed. We feel reinvigorated. You know, we never get to use the word reinvigorated on this show. We're going to use it because that's a good term. Yeah. So make sure you shop at our store. And we're going to get going here in 10 seconds, everybody. Stay tuned. Hi, Science Melinda. All right, here's hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I'm so glad to be back with you guys. My name is Dave Scott. Yes, I wear a lot of tinfoil, but if you watch it on YouTube, you just don't see it. Steve Bassett is our guest tonight on the show. We're going to get right back into the truth embargo and transparency momentarily. But first, we want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Dacoitage? Or is it Dacoitage? I'll call it a hard C. Dacoitage is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Here's Steve Bassett from the Paradigm Research Group. And Steve, you wanted to continue with the truth embargo, where we are now, where we are moving forward in 2024. Your thoughts on how this is going?
Okay, so the overall media coverage is backed way down. They're focused elsewhere. They're focused on politics. That's fine. No surprises there, but I'm not worried. Believe me, it will come roaring back. So, as everybody knows, the Disclosure Act submitted last year was gutted by defense contractors, putting pressure on certain members of Congress who get lots of donations from them because it included an eminent domain clause that put at risk perhaps lots of money that they might not get and other things. So it got gutted. Schumer went into the Senate and read into the record along with Mike Rounds. We're not done yet. We're going to continue to do this. That really scared the insiders on this. They got worried about it, so they came up with this idea of putting out another phony report called the Arrow study. In this case, made up a bunch of stuff, said they'd studied everything. There was nothing to it. Total lie. Got Kirkpatrick to sign off on it. Big mistake. Put that out there. Didn't really. Nobody believed it. It was an embarrassment. And by the way, Secretary of Defense Austin, again, they're terrible chess players. I mean, the DOD is the job to defend us against all enemies, domestic and foreign. And look, but they're not good chess players. I hope they're better at defending us than they are playing chess. Lloyd Austin, for example, apparently took the original act, the one that got gutted last year, and put his 2 cents in. I just learned about this. Haven't confirmed it. I think it's likely true. I went over it and redacted and wrote a bunch of stuff in and sent that in to him. Say, here's what you want to do. Somehow he probably thought that would never surface. It did. All right. So he's having a couple of bad years. And so this is all embarrassing as hell. So anyway, Schumer finally did what he said he was going to do. And he did it on July the 11th. And I'm going to show you exactly what he did. He and Mike Rounds did. I'm going to go to present, share, bingo, and here we go. Now, for those of you who want to find this, it's easy. It's on congress.gov. Just do a word search on that SMTD 2610. You could word search on Senate UFO amendment. There's a lot of ways, but this is where you got to get to, congress.gov. And what he dropped on July the 11th was an amendment to the Senate NDAA bill, an amendment, right, called the National Defense the National Defense Authorization Act, and the amendment is called the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Disclosure. Unidentified Anomalous Disclosure Act of 2024, or the UAP Disclosure Act of 2024, right? But in fact, it's going to be in the 2025. It's going to be amended to the 2025 NDAA. All right, but the point is, it's an amendment. And when you read through this, what you will find very quickly is that it's essentially the UAP Disclosure Act of last year, the one that was gutted, completely there. The wording has changed a little bit. It's a little tighter, but essentially the UAP Disclosure Act is back. It has eminent domain. It has the UAP review panel, subpoena power, the processes, the plans. It's got everything that was in that bill, right? Which is the final piece in the entire infrastructure that is needed to set the president to along with hearings in the Senate Intel Committee to set the president up to disclose. We've got to get this signed. And so he drops that in on July the 11th. I think unidentified anomalous phenomena is mentioned 120 times, and non-human technology is mentioned 40 times, subpoena twice, and what's the other one? I forget. Oh, eminent domain 4 times. So there it is. Okay, so what? Here's what. It's an amendment. It's a floor amendment. In other words, it's a chess move. It's a strategy. Why is it so important? It's simple. Last year, they put language in the actual bill. That language then had to go into reconciliation with the House version of the NDAA. And it was in that private, closed-door conference that the defense contractors got their minions, who received lots of defense contractor donations, campaign donations, to gut the bill. Okay. Why is this different? It's an amendment. This is something that will be submitted as an amendment to the bill after it's passed. And it has to be voted on. It can't be changed. It can't be gutted. It's got to get an up or down vote. And it's one of those votes you've seen on TV, on C-SPAN, where they got the lines up there and they're keeping track of everybody who's voting, yay, nay, and all that stuff. It'll happen that way. Everybody will get to see who votes for it and who votes against it. This bill, not some version of this bill, this bill. And the rules are pretty straightforward. It can happen anytime during the legislation. And so what I expect to happen is this. The Senate is going to come up with later this year the language for the Senate version of the 2025 NDAA as before. It will go before the Senate and it will be passed. And then they will submit this amendment to the floor. And because under the normal processes, it will be debated. right? So you got people debating pro and con, assuming anybody is going to have the guts to get up and go con. It's all in the open, all transparent, and then they'll have an up or down vote. I'm pretty sure the amendment's going to pass as is into the Senate bill. Okay. Now, over in the House, they're going to be doing something too. They're going to have a write-up of an NDA bill, right? And that's going to get voted on. No problem. And I'm pretty sure somebody in the House is going to introduce the House version, probably word for word, of this amendment after they have passed the House version of the NDAA as an amendment for an up or down floor vote. Now, I have been told by a couple people, but I'm not sure about this, and I will check, that it's possible that Johnson, the majority leader of the Senate, House, can prevent that amendment from coming forward. I have doubts about that, but we'll see. But if he chooses to do that, it will not be in some closed door meeting. It will be literally out there in the open. They will bring it forward, and he will stop it, and everybody will know it. And so it's very possible that amendment will also go for an up and down vote in front of the House. And if they vote it down, everybody will know what the vote was and who voted against it. No behind the scenes redactions, none of that crap. It's going to be totally transparent. And so that is going to put huge pressure on the Department of Defense and the defense contractors. They're going to have to go through this all over again and go to people and say, don't vote for this amendment. Don't vote for this amendment. And it's going to get outed. The news is going to cover it. The press is going to cover it more than ever. And it's going to be a fiasco, right? An absolute fiasco, as they're out there trying to convince people to continue to lie to the American people, right? And so Schumer has just checkmated a hell out of the Department of Defense and maybe the House. And so that dropped on the 11th. And it gets even better because the rules are this. Even after the Defense Authorization Act is completely passed and all the debate is over, this floor amendment can still be put forward for an up or down vote. It just can't have any debate. It can't be.
Let me ask you, because the last time, Steve, a bunch of veteran long lifers of the Senate, led by Mike Turner, who just happens to have Wright-Patterson Air Force Base
in
his voting region, okay, were the ones who really shut this the Schumer Rounds amendment down last year. They really gutted it, as you stated earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Do we see them all of a sudden coming back and potentially doing the same to this amendment?
No, you can't change the wording. It's a floor amendment. It goes up as is. Right? It's not part of the bill itself. It's a floor. This is a strategic move. He's outmaneuvered the DOD. I mean, he could have done that before. In other words, they're losing this battle, but they're just trying anything. They're throwing Hail Marys, whatever. They can't win. Schumer's a much better chess player. And so now you got the whole bill as an amendment that's going to get an up or down vote in the Senate for sure, possibly in the House. And if they're going to vote it down, every single person in the country that's paying attention is going to know who voted against it. In the previous bill, they just redacted the stuff, took it all out. We don't even know who was in the conference, right? And therefore, what we wanted, the bill never even got voted on. What was voted on was the redacted language. Now they're going to do it again as an amendment. Now that's all coming down the line. Now, he could have waited on this, but he did it early, and I think that was the smart move. So, and it fits in well with the political situation. We're not going to get a hearing on this issue, the hearing we have to have in the Senate this year. It's not going to happen until after the election. It could happen between the election and the inauguration. I could see it happening, right? We'll see. But if not, then it'll be after the new administration takes over. So the way it'll play out is this: the bill will not probably get voted. The bill will not be voted on in both the House and the Senate until in late October, I think, somewhere in there. It'd be pretty late. Might even be after the election. But as soon as it is voted on in the Senate, this amendment is going to be put on the floor for an up or down vote, and I believe it'll pass. And so you're looking at the time frame of late October, early November, possibly even after we know who the president is going to be and who's going to control the House and Senate. All right. So look forward to that. And then the question is whether the same amendment is going to be put for a vote in front of the House. I think it will, right? But it depends on the power of the ruling party of the House to block it. And I'm going to have to research on that, what that latitude is. But nevertheless, more than likely, it will get a vote. It will be put forward. And so that happens. And now the actual bill itself, with or without the amendment will be signed by the president in mid-December. All right. So now the bill is signed. And if that amendment is passed, then at that point, as we head towards the new administration with 33 new senators, with 33 Senate seats were up and 435 House seats were up, there is now the next decision is, with that in place, when does Mark Warner, the chairman of the Intel Committee, make his move and pull that hearing together? Is it make sense to do it during the transition period before the new president? I guess it depends on how the election goes. But after the new president takes office and the House and Senate the House and Senate will be in session or declared in early January, you then hold the hearing then. And so disclosure from the president, February of next year, makes total sense. Very possible. So that's how things can play out. And Schumer knows it. He knows exactly what he's doing. And now we've got 6 months to continue to build and refortify our front line, right? Because remember, we're on the first yard line. So the New Paradigm Institute has got a lot of things on its plate. It's going to be doing over the next 4 months, putting more and more pressure to get this bill passed, to get the hearing. Paradigm Research Group will shortly be a nonprofit 501c3, and I'm going to try to raise some money so I can do some things. I've got several projects I'd love to get done very soon. I'll be doing that. You've got as I say, the Soul Foundation, the UAP Disclosure Fund will be raising money. There's going to be other organizations. There's going to be Elizondo's book is going to be out. There's going to be more coverage. All of that is going to be happening toward the end of the year as we complete the campaign process. So this issue is not going away. And by and large, the opponents of disclosure are being outmaneuvered. And I can't be anything but optimistic unless something awful happens. I mean, again, we can't eliminate the possibility that something really awful can happen because of the circumstances in the world today, which are the result of terrible policies by a number of countries over many years that should never have happened because they haven't fixed their systems. And so we're at risk of something awful happening. Let's hope it doesn't happen. All right. I mean, one major terrorist attack and the disclosure process will be sidelined.
We got about 6 minutes to go here before we have to go to break. At the bottom of the hour, Steve Bassett is our guest tonight from the Paradigm Research Group. Steve, one of the things that has been concerning to me, and I know my listeners who've tuned in because I've heard from them, is what I call a real lack of transparency with the previous hearings that we have had. You know, there does not seem to be a lot of gusto coming out with information. Yet we hear Tim Burchett, we hear other politicians talk about we need more transparency in this subject for the American public. Yet everything has to go behind a skiff. Everything has to go behind closed doors. And a lot of people are getting frustrated. Are you getting frustrated with that as well?
No. Look, we are all frustrated. The truth embargo is 77 years old. And so extreme language is always being used. It's never this and never that and all or nothing. No, there's been tons of transparency. Okay. Grush came forward. He gave an interview. There was an article. He gave testimony in front of Congress. It was filmed. All right. There's been tons of media coverage of what's going on. Members of the House have stepped forward. Members of the Senate have signed public letters. There's been some briefings, right? In addition to the hearings, I don't consider the Senate get-togethers as hearings. They were really briefings. Reports have been demanded from Congress. They've gotten those reports. Some of them were public as well. We've never been more transparent on this issue, but are we transparent enough? No. But yeah, believe me, there's so much stuff coming out. I can't keep up with it. People are being buttonholed in the hallway by reporters wanting to know what their view is on the ET issue. And so I encourage people not to try to use balanced language. Try to respect, accept success. We're winning, so acknowledge that, right? Ultimately, if you read the disclosure, unidentified anomalous phenomena disclosure amendment, that may very likely be law by the end of this year, it is the template by which everything that the government has about this issue will eventually end up in the public domain. And the process starts 30 days after it's passed. Now, does that mean everything comes out right away? No. And let me be clear, because there is a lot of confusion about this. There are two processes underway at the same time, and it's confusing. I take some responsibility for this. There is the disclosure process, small d, goes all the way back to the 80s. It goes all the way back to 1947. But it kind of gets formalized by Stephen Greer in the late 80s. Disclosure project, disclosure. He's talking about getting the stuff out, getting the information out, getting witnesses out, all of this stuff. Disclosure. And that process has been going on and is expanding, and it continues to get things out. Everything that happens along those lines, whether it comes from us or the government, right? Because there have been a lot of documents released by the FBI, the CIA. So things do come out of the government, FOIAs and so forth. All of this is small d disclosure. That process is underway and will continue for the rest of our lives. This other process underway is capital D disclosure. That's a different process. It's a different project. It is the effort to get the president to confirm the ET presence. That's an act. It's a proper noun. It'll happen when it happens. When it happens, boom, it's done. Both of those things are happening together, but it's confusing. But they are synchronistic. They both help each other. The small d disclosure, the increasing amount of revelation and information that comes in all forms, including hearings, is going to make it easier for the president to finally confirm the ET presence, capital D disclosure. And when the president does that, I assure you, the ability for small d disclosure, particularly formalized under the disclosure amendment, will accelerate rapidly, and the stuff will be pouring out. And so the two are working at the same time. Most of what you're seeing, all of what you're seeing happening now is not about finding out about the issue. It's about setting up the stage, or setting the stage for the hearing to happen and the president to disclose. That's what this is all about. They already know about this stuff, right? And so this is about getting us to the place where the president can disclose. And because the president has to be the disclosure entity, and the president is political, all of this political stuff has made it that more difficult, and why it's going to have to be delayed. If they had done it in 2023, it'd have been fine. It didn't happen, right? But disclosure from the president must happen. And the idea that we could pass this act and then start pulling stuff out, okay, here's a bunch of documents, review that. Here's an ET vehicle, review that. And the president's going to be sitting in the White House going, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know we had that. Oh, wow, that's amazing. No, it's absurd. We cannot really start doing this until the president has disclosed, which is why, if this amendment gets passed, that hearing is going to happen and disclosure is going to happen pretty quickly, because you cannot have the president standing still and not speaking to this and confirming it while the very process of disclosing the truth of it comes out. And by the way, the truth of it's already out. And so the whole thing is kind of a screwball situation. It's a mess. And the government created that mess, right? They've spent 77 years creating that mess, and now we've got to clean it up. It's going to be messy and difficult. I get it, but it will get resolved. And when it does, we're going to feel a lot better about it.
Steve, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because when we come back, I want to know what the presidents actually know. We have Steve Bassett,
Sure.
Until the top of the hour. This is Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. Flying on by, Steve. Flying on by again.
Oh yeah. No, I did a 2-hour interview just prior to this one.
I know.
It's okay.
I stayed on with Thomas. Thomas is a great friend of mine.
It was pretty intense. Thomas got pretty intense. I mean, he's serious. He got very intense. He's not. You're a much more kind of cool guy, go with the flow and so forth. And it's okay. I like it. I had an even more intense interview 2 nights ago on UFO No. Guy got really into it. But I loved it. Some people think, "Oh, Steve's uncomfortable," but no. I love it. That's when the nitty gritty really gets going, and that's fine. So, and I've got 8 more interviews scheduled already for the next 2 weeks.
You got a hot button week. I was looking at your schedule.
Yeah, there's a couple that are not even on that. I'm gonna have to update it again. And then I got the cruise. So that's gonna be fun. Gonna have a whole bunch of rich people on that boat. I'm gonna be cornering them and going, "Hey, did you like that presentation? How about donating to the Paradigm Research Group?" Whatever. I'm not even going to get off the boat. I mean, we're going to Alaska and back. I'm not taking any of those excursions to sit there up to the whatever the hell. I'm staying on that boat the whole time and meeting and talking to as many people as possible. That's going to be nice. I'm looking forward to it.
Love it. Love it. That's good stuff, man. That's
yeah.
Good stuff. I always love it when you're on.
People, it's easy to get. Everybody gets so discouraged so easily. They kept like this U8 the Arrow study report. They think that's the end. It's all over. I get it. I appreciate it. But they don't have. If they were watching everything as carefully as it could be, they would realize, wait, no, it's not over. The government thought it might be over. They really thought they were going to get away with that. And what we know, I know exactly what they said to Sean. They said, "Look, you're going to sign this, and if you don't, you're not going to get that nice job over at Energy." I mean, they had him. There was, and I'll tell you, if I was Sean Kirkpatrick, I don't know what his financial situation is or his family situation is, but boy, if he would have come back and given an interview to the Debrief or Colfart and basically say, I got snookered here. I get abused. This was not right. And rectify this, he would become a national hero like that. And his legacy would be very different. He might lose that job, but he'll get another one. On the other hand, something worse may happen to him. But I mean, he has been used and abused. Like Edward Condon. Edward Condon is not thought of fondly, right? By anybody that even knows who the hell he is. He disgraced himself on the University of Colorado. They just did that to Sean Kirkpatrick, and I'm sure he did not deserve that.
Well, you know what? I don't have any sympathy. I mean, he could have done a lot of even if he was put up to, he could have done a lot better in trying to sidestep if he didn't agree. But he just came across to me as very uninformed, nonchalant, not giving a care, almost like he was put in the one position that, like you always hear that with big companies, they always shove you, that veteran employee, into that one position to go rot and die. Yeah.
Why? Until your retirement. Yeah, but he was not hired to do anything. He was hired just to be the director. They had to have an arrow and it had to have a director. But he wasn't supposed to do anything, and it became harder to do that.
One thing I'm very confused about, because I was told to watch for Kirkpatrick to end up with a job at Enigma Labs after he stepped down.
Well, I think a lot of rumors going on. I think he's landing at the Energy.
Yeah,
right?
the DOE.
I think so, which is, is in this, and I didn't mention this, but in this bill, they make a point, and I don't know if they did it in the first bill, the amendment, by the first bill, but they make it clear in this bill that the Department of Energy, there are certain Atomic Energy Acts that exempted programs and so forth from any scrutiny at all. And they use those exemptions to park the UFO stuff underneath it. And it actually points that out and lets it be known, oh no, that's not going to work.
All right, Steve, hold on. We're coming back in 20 seconds. Big thank you tonight to Kira, Big Dog, Noble Patrick, West Area 53, Eternity, and Deborah Rooney for the super chats. Don't forget to check out our brand new swag at Spaced Out Radio Store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can wear our stuff out in public and be proud of it. That's what I do. I'm going to get some new gear myself here very, very soon, and I hope you do too. So go check it on out, and here we go. All right, we have Steve Bassett until the top of the hour here on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to continue the UFO talk. But first, we want to say hello to all of you for tuning us in. Hi, my name is Steve Scott. I'm glad to be here behind the microphone, bringing the great UFO news to you. If you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget, you can download all of our podcasts for free as well on every major podcast network. Yes, I did say free. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Steve Bassett, Paradigm Research Group. We have until the top of the hour. We're talking about transparency of UFOs and what the presidents know. Steve, I know Grant Cameron has delved deeply into this subject for a number of years. Others have as well. In your opinion, what does the U.S. president, doesn't matter who it is, what does the U.S. president actually know about this subject, or do they keep this subject away from the president?
Give me $20 million and a team of 50 people, and I can probably go research that and get you a decent answer. But sure, because of the truth embargo, no. Here is what I say when I'm asked that question, and I feel confident about it. Every single president since Truman has known that there's a non-human intelligence present in our world from elsewhere. Okay, maybe they've got bases here and they never leave, or come and go or whatever. But every single president has known that, and there's some very common sense reasons why that's almost certainly true. Just because they know doesn't mean they can do anything about it. Just because they know doesn't mean they're going to get cooperation from the defense world, even though they're the commander in chief. And so for any host of reasons, the truth embargo policy, it needs the president to keep silent about it. And they do. All right. In other words, the president does have the ability to do it. The president can declassify anything the president wants, though there has to be a procedure. But again, it is a national security policy, so nobody be shocked if a president makes a decision that, okay, look, I'll leave this to the Defense Department to deal with, and at some point it may be appropriate to go further in terms of what we tell the public. But every single president has known. It's just impossible to imagine that they didn't. Because when you have that kind of power, people line up to tell you things. I happen to believe that every billionaire, any major billionaire in this country knows. When you're worth 1, 10, 15, 20, $50 billion, believe me, there are people that are dying to get your attention for just 10 minutes and tell you things that you really ought to know to curry your favor. And you have obviously major contacts simply because who you are. And so, yeah, they're going to take you aside, cocktail party and say, Elon, that we do have these ETs here, right? And that doesn't mean Elon's going to do a damn thing about it. People of power know. That's been the case going all the way back. That's about as far as I can go on that. Now, here's what I want to do in our last half hour. Look, I want to read just a small section of the amendment that is now in play that's going to eventually be put on a floor vote, just to give you a taste of how important it is, how powerful it is, and remind you of what was in the original bill as well. So I'm going to quickly go to present. Wait a minute, not there. Hello, not there. Go here. Present. Share screen. And I'm going here. Okay. Here's the section I'm going to read. It's section 2, findings, declarations, and purposes. And this is kind of like cool. I mean, this kind of lays it out, right? A, findings and declarations. Congress finds and declares the following. Notice, Congress. In other words, this is an amendment to an NDA bill that'll be signed by the president, passed by both houses. And so that amendment will apply to the entire Congress. 1, all federal government records related to unidentified anomalous phenomena should be preserved and centralized for historical and federal government purposes. 2, all federal government records concerning unidentified anomalous phenomena, I'm going to use UAP from now on, should carry a presumption of immediate disclosure. Should carry a presumption of immediate disclosure, and all records should be eventually disclosed to enable the public to become fully informed about the history of the federal government's knowledge and involvement surrounding UAP. History, meaning everything, going back forever, but probably to 47. 3, legislation is necessary to create an enforceable, independent, and accountable process for the public disclosure of such records. 4, legislation is this is really important. Legislation is necessary because credible evidence and testimony indicates that federal government unidentified UAP records exist that have not been declassified or subject to mandatory declassification review as set forth in Executive Order 13526, 50 U.S.C. 3161, note, relating to classified national security information, due in part to exception under the Atomic Energy Act of 1954, 42 U.S.C. 2011, as well as an overbroad interpretation of transclassified foreign nuclear information, which is also exempt from mandatory declassification, thereby preventing public disclosure. All right, now, this is so important because going all the way back to the early researchers, going back to the 60s, 70s, 80s, there have been frequent mentions of the fact that a great deal of the entire UAP engagement and records and other things, a part of U.S. government, has been stuck underneath the Atomic Energy Act, meaning Department of Energy, basically. And the reason they did that is because they've got these special exemptions, particularly under the Atomic Energy Act of 1954, which meant that in spite of all the other layers of impenetrability they have, this gave them the ultimate impenetrability. And this paragraph, it's basically Schumer is saying, we know that. We know about it. We know you're storing the stuff there. And we are specifically calling it out as an exemption that will be overridden. So I hope that is starting to give people a sense of just how significant this amendment is and how serious Schumer is to end this truth embargo. This is not a case where he put a bill out last year just to show the flag and get some kudos, right? I gotta cancel this. Hang on. Stop screen. Okay. No, this shows he's being strategic. In other words, they're altering their course. They're intensifying the language. They're being strategic, which confirms that the Senate Intelligence Committee and the Senate, run by the Democrats right now, are dead serious. They're going to end this embargo, and they have put it out for all the world to see. That amendment, even if it's not passed, is voted down in late October, November, is going to sit up on that website for months, being read by people all around the world who also read the original Disclosure Act from last year. And so the message is clear. The United States Senate wants to end the truth embargo. And maybe Lloyd Austin does it, but he's wrong. And maybe Sir Kirkpatrick just wants to just, be on the opposing team. Big mistake. And maybe certain members of Congress are selling out to defense contractors. They're going to regret it. This is what people need to know. And that bill is easy to find. You can read it online.
Steve, as we move forward here and as we start to see, it's almost like a calm before the storm right now.
Mm-hmm.
Everything seems a little bit quiet. Everything seems
Yeah.
like we're all building this pressure like a volcano that we're waiting for it to explode again. Do you think that kicks off with Lou Elizondo's book? Do you think that kicks off with, or what? Let me rephrase that. Do you think Lou Elizondo's book is going to kick things off? And do you expect that book to be an eye-opener for a lot of different, maybe names, different programs, or anything along those lines?
Look, this issue, we're already kicked off. We're thoroughly kicked off. So his book is just going to be one more, what's the word I'm looking for? One more player on our side, one more maneuver on our side. And the timing is going to be great. It's going to tie in with this amendment and everything else. Lou was the front man for this. He took all the hits. He was more exposed than anybody else. He came forward in 2017. He's had a rough time. So his book is going to be successful, and it's going to be very rewarding, and it's going to get a lot of press, and it's going to help. And that's as far as you need to go. And it'll be challenged, and there'll be controversy, and there'll be the skeptics will get in there and try to find what they can and get their 15 minutes of fame. But I'm sure the book is going to be important, and it's going to help advance the process. But it's not the only book. And you don't have to write a book. There are people out there at high level that are going to be writing articles. You're going to see some stuff turning up in The Hill and other venues with important information from people that are inside. And in other words, the dam is breaking. It's actually kind of separating right now. There's 1 billion gallons of water sitting behind it. It's about to all come downstream. So, try to get ready for that, deal with it, waited a long time for it. But the idea that they're going to take out some super glue and repair that dam and stop this from happening is ridiculous. And the more they fight it, the more disgrace they bring upon themselves, and the more they undermine trust in America, in the American government right now by the American people. The one of the tragedies of the truth embargo is this bipartisan lying. In other words, everybody's lying. Democrats, Republicans, Democrat presidents, Republican presidents, Democrat appointed Secretary of Defense and CIA directors. In other words, everybody's lying on this thing. But that doesn't help. At least with partisan lying, you can say, well, my side's telling the truth, but their side is lying. In this case, everybody's lying. And we wonder why people are losing faith in government, why they believe that, are believing other wild theories, because they can't trust the government, so they got to look elsewhere. The truth embargo has done tremendous damage to the body politic of this country. And while they may not want to focus on that, and they may want to justify it based upon the atomic, the Cold War and atomic arms race and all that shit, history will say otherwise. They will say, look, guys, you did a terrible thing, a terrible mistake. And you made plenty of mistakes in the 20th century, but this was one of them. And I'm just saying there's still time to leave that behind. It's time to get on the disclosure train. Get on the right side of history here, Lloyd Austin. Right?
And every other politician that goes along with that. But the funny part about it is I was told by one inside source here in Canada, and it seems to be playing out in the United States as well, that a lot of these talks now, Steve, are going behind the scenes. They don't want it in public anymore. They're tired of the social media pressure on what is actually happening. And I know in Canada, it's gone very behind the scenes as well. Not a lot of people talking about UFOs, UAP, whatever you want to call them. Okay. Are you finding that as well, that there's a lot more talks behind the scenes going on right now rather than trying to bring that news to the public?
No, I love the fact that there's more talks behind the scene. In order to get this done, in order to get the legislation done, get the hearings set up and everything else, as with almost anything else of this magnitude, you can't be holding, parties or lunches and chatting about it at the pizza shop on the hill. I mean, this is serious government business, and it should be done in a private setting, and then you can talk to the media if it's appropriate or not. Given this issue, they're not overly inclined to do that. It's a toughie. This is a very tough thing. They're having to end the truth embargo by acting like we don't know what's going on, but we're going to find out and set all this shit up, when in fact they already know. So, I mean, it's really awkward. But in order for this to happen, there needs to be a lot of things happening on the Hill, and those things are not done out in the public setting. Most of the briefings are going back the last 5 years that have educated members of Congress are private briefings. They go up, they sit in the office, they talk, they don't go to the press, because it's just not something it's just not going to work that way. Now, not everybody is on board with it. And the leading people that are not on board with this are the House Republican conservatives, Burchett, Luna, and Mace. God bless them. That's good. Good cop, bad cop. They're basically saying, hey, look, we're going to do it in public. We want to get a skiff. We're going down to an Air Force base. We want the information. They're out there. Good. Love it. Now, why aren't more people doing it? Again.
Well, I think there's a real shift, and I don't know if you've noticed this, or maybe it's just something that has caught my attention, but it seems like the younger, newer politicians who are very open to the UFO story, you take whether it's AOC, whether it's Anna Luna, whether it's Matt Gaetz, or a lot of the newer politicians, they seem very open to the fact, party aside, that this is a subject that we need to learn more about, and it needs to come out in public. Yet it's a lot of the old timers who are like, hold on a second here. Let's take a step back. We've never really talked about this. We don't want to hurt national security and our future technology. We got to beat the Russians, beat the Chinese.
I'm gonna stop on that. No. Here's the math. Most of the stuff that's happening is old timers. Mellon, right? Warner. And Gillibrand's an old timer. So is Schumer. So no, the old timers are driving this, and the old timers are also resisting it. The newer members, the younger members, are clearly going to be more receptive. There's no question. They haven't bought into the truth embargo. But the newer, younger members are much more vulnerable politically. They're just starting out in their careers. They haven't been in there too long, and so you jump into this swimming pool. If you don't swim, you're going to drown. So there's a dynamic there. But as the old timers, as you say, continue to advance this thing forward, and you get like that amendment goes on the floor, the new members they're going to vote for it. They already have. They're going to do it again. They may get more, and they will jump in more aggressively as things move forward. But I understand why they're holding back. So, again, the people that have been in the Congress the longest, in a sense, have been sitting on the truth embargo the longest. It's kind of almost appropriate that they be the ones that end this, right? And not throw it on the young people. Say, okay, look, we can't take this on. You take the hits. You do it. No. The baby boomers that were born after the war, which I'm one of them, came of age and basically managed the truth embargo for most of the last 70 years. And so I think it's fully appropriate that lots of baby boomers be involved in ending this, right? We started it. Let's end it.
We got 5.5 minutes before we have to say goodnight to you, Steve. Mm-hmm. As we move forward, do we see real news coming out? Do we see more whistleblowers coming out? Do we see more, notes, not just stories, but do we see more videos? Do we see potential evidence coming out here anytime soon? Or is that still going to be blacklisted?
Not blacklisted. Look, there's already enough stuff out to end this truth embargo 3 times over. We got plenty of witnesses ready to testify. Piling more witnesses on top, no, and they're not come out publicly. They're going to come out privately behind the scenes, and we already have enough. But this issue is going to be tabled. This election And the Middle East, certainly still the Ukraine matter, is serious enough that this issue can take a break for 4 months. Now, there's going to be some things happening. Lou's book's going to come out. You may get a hearing from the House and so forth. Some happening. But in terms of major stuff, I don't think so. Once the election is over, though, which I think is November the 5th, all bets are off at that point. After that, we know who the Congress is, who's going to be in run of the Congress. We know who the president's going to be. And barring dramatic changes in the House and Senate and so forth, there is nothing to stop the hearings from happening. There's no, well, I mean, look, the hearing needs to happen to set it up for the president to disclose. And there's something kind of cool about doing it during the transition between the election and inauguration, November 5 to January 20. Speaking purely, just off the top of my head, if you were to hold that hearing after the election, but before the inauguration, and it went as well as I know it would set the stage for President Biden to be the disclosure president and end his career on a pretty substantial high note. Very possible. On the other hand, if you also could do it this way, where you hold it, but Biden does not step forward. You hold it kind of late in the transition period. Biden does not step forward, and you set it up for the new president, whoever it is, to be the disclosure president. There's a case to be made for that. Somebody's going to be the disclosure president, right? And that hearing is going to happen first. Mark Warner wants it. He's made it clear he wants it. Circumstances haven't aligned yet. So that's what you can expect. There's already enough in play and out there, but over the next 5 months, New Paradigm Institute, newparadigminstitute.org, is going to be doing a lot of stuff on the Hill, writing legislation, directing people to contact Congress. PRG has got a little something up on its site too, called Shiftstorm. It's going to be things happening. Don't forget, keep putting the pressure on. But I'm trying to be realistic here and saying, folks, understand, keep it in play. But we have to get through this very difficult election, and we've got to handle the Middle East carefully. And we need to avoid a nuclear war suddenly happening because of the Ukraine war. That can't happen, right? So I'm more than happy to be patient another 4 or 5 months. We've waited a long time. We can wait another 4 or 5 months.
Well, I mean, we've waited a number of years for this, decades. As a matter of fact. Okay. I just want to see something move forward. I don't need them, because I don't believe that any type of major disclosure event is anytime close. And you and I have talked about that before. I want to see something, at least in the near future, come out that it looks like we are fully moving the ball forward ahead outside of talks.
Well, this amendment submitted to the world, you don't think that's not moving forward? It's a big deal.
No, I never said that. I want to see how it plays out. Let me put it that way.
Well, we'll find out in 4 months. I mean, it's going to be put on the floor. Now, if Schumer suddenly pulled it back, boy, that would be news. And boy, yes, would the internet jump on that. I mean, something like that would definitely get our attention. I think it's highly unlikely, but it could happen. But this amendment is a big deal, and it's carefully played at just the right time. And there's going to be, the issue is going to come up in the election, I assure you. It may not come on in the couple of debates. These things are so tight-ass now. I don't think it's going to come up there. There's so many other things. But it could. But expect some social media stuff. Like recently, Carl Nell, who has this huge career in both civilian and military and public service, he goes in front of the SALT conference, which is a big conference of high-end tech people and very wealthy finance people. And he says there's no doubt there's EC presence here. There's going to be more of that. No reason there can't be. It'd be interesting to see who steps forward next. And all of that is just going to keep the ball rolling. But
Well,
in terms of dramatic government action, the path is pretty much well defined at this point. And
Steve, thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio. Coming up next, Swamp Dweller returns to our airwaves. We'll be right back with hour number 3. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
boop.
You're awesome, Steve.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Dave.
buddy.
Hope you keep getting some more followers, subscribers, and sell some swag. And I'm thinking disclosure is definitely going to help your swag business.
For sure. All right, buddy.
All right.
We'll talk soon, okay?
Later. Bye.
Later. All right. Let's go like that. And I will be right back, everybody. You can look at my new advertiser there. Banner, I should say. I'll be right back. Yeah, because I decided to throw my phone. Get your bucket, man. Get your bucket. All right. How we all doing? We glad to be back? Or what? Sweet Robbie G looking good. We do have more coming here in the next little bit, but to spice up at least the commercial breaks. But hello, Itsy Zaza. How are you? All right. Let me just quickly test up here because I got something screwed up here. Is that the one? Nope, that's the, get rid of that one. Let's delete that. I think that's the one there. No, that ain't it either. Oh, wow. Oh, let's, where did I put that? Well, Rob, I found my first snafu here. all of a sudden, I can't find Swamp Dweller's audio here. Oh, there it is. Let's test this out. Let's go directory import. What file was that under? There we go. We fixed it. Yay. There we go. That's what happens when you're learning or adding new stuff. There it is. All right. That one should fire. Yeah, that one fires. Okay. All right. Thank you tonight to CS, Kira, Big Dog, Noble Patrick, West Area 53, Eternity, and Deborah Rooney for the super chats. Don't forget, we do not have ugly swag in our store, and we've added some not ugly swag to it. Here we go. All right, here comes the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. So glad to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott, and I love being behind this. It's just so much fun. It's so much fun to bring this weird and strange, wacky world to all of you each and every night. And I'll tell you, puts a smile on my face just thinking about it. Hey, I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Decoitage. I don't know what it says. I'm not even going to say it again because I hate that word. I don't know where the clam comes up with these, but the Desert Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Hey, it's been a while, but Swamp Dweller is back. Let's bring in a spooky story from the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. To this day, I consider this to be one of the strangest things I have ever experienced in this lifetime. This happened a couple of years ago. My friends and I were heading to a music festival by Lake Okeechobee in Florida. We are from Miami, so the drive was pretty decent. The only issue is that we'd have to drive through Central Florida. These are, for the most part, secluded towns and swamp areas. Maybe an hour into the drive, my friend, who was in charge of the GPS, told us that there was an accident up ahead, which was going to add time to the drive. However, there was another route which is a little more secluded, so we wouldn't be stuck in traffic, at the very least. We agreed to take this secluded route since we always wanted to get to the festival on time and early enough to be able to secure our campsite and all that fun stuff. Once on this road, though, everything felt off. Like we had stepped into another time period altogether. It felt like we were in the middle of nowhere. There is no single car on site, no landmarks, no mile indicators, just a road that spans for miles and miles of darkness surrounding us. Welcome to Central Florida, brother. Then, up ahead, we finally started to see buildings. All four of us sighed with relief. Nobody had said anything in the car, but I could tell we had all been tense or worried about this road trip. We entered this town, which I could only describe as a town straight out of the 1950s. It seemed like a movie set or something like that more than an actual town. But here's the worst part. Everything, absolutely everything was turned off. Mind you, it's different than when we passed by late at night. It must have been 9-ish latest, but every single light in this town was turned off. Cars were parked everywhere, but only some were out and about. And then, honestly, the driver of the car was saying, "Yo, what is going on? Where is everyone?" And I'm so glad I wasn't alone when this happened. I have other people who experienced this with me, and I still can't explain it. I wish I could have taken pictures of this place, but I promise you guys, it all seemed fake. Every single part of this town was empty, with old-timey police cars and all that kind of stuff, but nobody was inside any of them. It was like a ghost town, completely suspended in time. I know it's probably nothing supernatural, but it was creepy. My Creepy Walking Experience by Dapper Hunt 2171. Tonight I went on a walk with my dog. The same route, same time that I always do. I was walking my normal path, and this part of the walk happens to be the darkest part. There's an alley to the left that was absolutely no light. My dog was suddenly on high alert and was barking like crazy. I had my headphones in, but I knew something was wrong, and I looked down the alley but didn't see anything at first. When my eyes adjusted to the dark, I saw a very tall, skinny man standing there. He didn't move. He was just facing me, staring from what I could tell. He was in all black. His pants and shirt were long, which is weird because it had to be 90 to 100 degrees all week. Not to mention it was 10:30 at night, and this man was wearing a giant black sun hat. I kind of froze and went, pretty loudly as I turned my headphones off so I could listen in. The man was standing there, saying absolutely nothing, and now I'm turning toward him but walking forward. After a second of him being silent and me trying to walk away, kind of chalking it up to a creepy but harmless encounter, he starts to follow me. This man followed me for about 2 to 3 minutes, saying absolutely nothing, just staring at me. When I felt like I could speak, I yelled out, "My dog's going to freaking bite you." That seemed to scare him a bit because after, he slowly started falling behind, and then stopped following me entirely after about 30 seconds. He slowly went onto the sidewalk and went a different way. When he turned around to get away, he had a huge backpack on. It was extremely full. I have a really uneasy feeling about this. I go on this path in my small town almost every single night, and this man just so happens to be standing there in the darkest alley. There's been 3 women that have gone missing recently, and I kind of feel like maybe I'm putting dots that might not be there together, but maybe this has something to do with their disappearances.
And thank you to Swamp Dweller for a spooky, spooky story. If you want more just like that, head on over to his YouTube channel, Swamp Dweller. Hit subscribe today. All right. It's that time of the night. So we got to get to the UFO report. Now, if I can find the audio.
You could do it.
Oh, I know I can do it. Here we go.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
All right, we bring in Tim James in the UFO report. Tim, good to have you here.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
I am good, man. It's good to have you back.
It's good to be here. I love what you've done with the place.
Well, we haven't done too much with the studio. You know, on YouTube, if you're actually watching, we hung a banner. And we hung a banner behind you.
We hung a banner.
And Tim is always in studio when doing this. So we made a little outlet for him, you know, to try and make things look pretty around here. Yeah.
Yep. Very nice.
I tell you, man, it's been a busy couple of weeks.
Yeah. And I know it's getting a hold of you has been a little bit tough, but I mean, like you say, the whole crew, everybody's been working their behinds off, getting everything set up. So no, it looks good. And yeah, Impressed, sir.
Well, thank you. I do owe a lot of credit, and I do have to say this for our radio audience. You guys got repeats of the show. We don't usually talk about that in radio.
Mhm.
We don't, but we took 2 weeks off in order to spice things up a little bit, and a lot of stuff that we had to do behind the scenes in order to get the radio show ready and running a little bit better, because with the advancement that social media takes almost on a monthly basis, where things are changed, we just allowed stuff to pile up and pile up. So sweet Robbie G from our After Hours crew, and I could guarantee you over the next few weeks here, if you're listening in on terrestrial radio, you're going to be able to hear, hopefully, Rob come on in and start broadcasting live on terrestrial radio as well with After Hours.
That's awesome.
And it's going to be great. Rob's such a great broadcaster too. And him and I have worked diligently for 2 weeks straight, sometimes till 2, 3 in the morning, him even longer, because that guy like sleeps like 38 minutes a night.
Yeah,
he's one of those. And Rob really was a huge catalyst of putting all of this together. And we also want to give a shout out to Chuck Contreras from KZFX Radio. Not only does he broadcast our show down in Ridgecrest, California, but he also does all of our technical stuff. He helps us out with our technical stuff as well. So, we were able to really get a lot of different things going over the last couple of weeks. So, a big shout out to Jackie Harmon and Lee Strauss as well, and Terry Hall and Dirty Filth and everybody who really chipped in. Kat Walters, Spookles the cat, we call her, okay, for really helping out behind the scenes and putting all of this together. Because this is stuff that if you let it build up and fester,
right,
it never gets done. And this is all stuff that when you want to grow anything, like we want to grow Spaced Out Radio, you need to get this done.
Oh, of course.
Because all of these little nickel and dime jobs eventually add up.
Yeah, well, like they say, a nickel's holding up a dollar, right?
Exactly. And that's kind of what we're doing. Now we can completely put our focus on growing this show, making it more syndicated, making it a little bit more, we want to eventually add some advertisers to the show and hopefully expand our social media prowess as well.
For sure.
And I got to tell you, we got some good ideas and everything that needs to really go through with that. So I just want to say thank you to our audience for the patience. Thank you to the Spaced Out Radio team behind the scenes for really being the glue that holds all of this together. And, big personal shout out to sweet Robbie G and his beautiful red chin hair that he braids, for everything that he did. I mean, this guy, he went from man to myth to legend all literally in 2 days.
Well, complete disclosure, I popped in a couple of times while you were doing this, and he was on all the time, and it was like, holy cow! All right, I gotta go.
Yeah, that's just the way it is, man.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's just the way it is. But we got it done. But enough about that. We got to get to the UFO report. And one of the big stories that happened for UFOs over the last little bit is there's been a lot of hype on social media about the release later this month of Lou Elizondo's new book, Imminent. And we're still trying to get Elizondo on the air to talk about that. His publishing company is not being very cooperative. I know Lou is.
Yeah,
I know Lou is, but his publishing company, I want to shake him. I do. I want to shake him.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, too, he's probably getting pulled in 20 different directions as well, right?
But you know what, though? I'm going to say this. We may not be the biggest show out there,
right?
But we're pretty damn big.
Yeah. Okay.
And what I don't like about it is this. They're not even considering the aspects of the reach that we have with our terrestrial radio stations.
True.
And not just being broadcast in the United States, being broadcast across North America, being broadcast all around the world on places like YouTube and Twitch and LinkedIn and X and everything, that it gets a little ridiculous with that. And publicists have a bad habit of doing that. They
okay.
really do. Okay. And so we gotta work on that a little bit more. But I am in contact with him. We are going to get it done.
Yeah.
I just don't know when. But let's talk about Elizondo for a
All
minute,
right.
because one of the leaks from his book was about his former career. And you've been
Yes.
following this, Tim.
Yes, sir.
And what do you know what's going on? Fill our audience in.
Well, what I've seen is, first of all, step back a bit. There was some leaks. Obviously, his book's coming out. So there was a bunch of leaks, and I saw them on X, formerly known as Twitter, and a lot of arguments, and understandably so. I mean, he had chimed in, Lou had chimed in a few times and was like, not really appreciative. There was a lot of people out there that took these leaks off, right? And off their posts and stuff. But one of the big ones was that he was in Guantanamo Bay. And he is getting a lot of flack about that. It's out of his book, and he'd actually written it, and if it's okay if I read it out, he goes, "My work with Guantanamo Bay brought endless rounds of drama and stress. An attorney for one of the 9/11 suspects labeled me in open court as the U.S. czar of torture. From that moment, I would forever be branded by some as the nation's Darth Vader. At one point, I was informed that Europe had issued an open arrest warrant for me and anyone involved in the notorious rendition, detention, and interrogation (RDI) program of high-value detainees. The International Court of Human Rights had decreed that any U.S. intelligence officer involved in that effort would face trial if arrested. From my perspective, I was serving my country and my president and preventing another 9/11. So in reading that and then seeing the comments, there are a lot of people that are supporting Lou and saying this was patriotism, this was what you do, and there are some people out there that are calling him a war criminal now, a torturist. I've seen people say in their feeds, unsubscribed. Like, I'm not sure. And I'm looking at it, and there's a gentleman that on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure. He seems to stir it up. And when you and I were talking about it earlier, his name's Jay Anderson. I'm looking at this and saying, okay, I mean, obviously I don't know much about it, but researching it and stuff and going through the Geneva Convention and all that sort of stuff. I'm, researching background and whatever, but I'm finding that there's more so a lot of people that are in support of Lou and understanding of it, right? So I kind of think it's a little bit of dirty pool. I don't understand. I mean, it's in his book. So now we're going to take it and not steal, but we're going to, print a piece of his book, and then we're going to start criticizing him. Don't quite understand that. I don't understand why people are doing that. I don't know what you think about it. But...
Well, you know what? I think it's a very dangerous path to cross because, number one, we haven't read the book yet. We don't know what the paragraphs prior or the paragraphs after say. So I'm gonna reserve my judgment until then.
Right.
But it really shows the clickbaity nature of headline reading rather than exposing the facts.
Yeah. I agree.
And, whether you love Elizondo or not, he's been good to me. I will say this,
right?
I don't call him a friend. I don't think he would call me a friend.
Sure.
But I would say on a professional level, Lou Elizondo has been very cordial to me. And I'm very thankful for that because as a journalist, that's how you build up proper rapport with somebody that they will come on and want to do your show and you could talk to them behind the scenes and give them get advice or information from them that you can use to build your stories. And I don't want to be a clickbaiter, and I think too many times we as people, because more than ever we are making emotional investments on the this is going to offend me crowd. And people may not like me
Right.
saying that,
No,
but I've caught myself doing it
Mhm.
many a time if I
Mhm.
see something even locally on Facebook,
Sure.
or, happening in my community, or even on social media around the world. I've caught
Yeah.
myself doing that, where I become offended by a headline rather than reading into the full story and the aspect of that story. What are the contents?
Right.
But we all get caught up. But I think for the majority of us, we only want the headlines because we're literally a 5 to 10 minute society now.
Oh, yeah.
We're not into long form anything
No.
anymore. And that sucks.
Yeah. I
Okay.
agree.
Because we've forgotten how to actually say, well, hold on here. Let's read both sides of the story.
Exactly.
And that's what, I look back, and once again, people may disagree with me,
Mhm.
but this has caused a lot of heat within the cancel culture community.
Agreed.
It's caused a lot of heat within the I'm offended crowd.
Mm-hmm.
It's caused a lot of heat for people who get instantly emotionally invested
Right.
in the topic of UFOs.
Yep.
Okay. And so I really want to see what the big picture is.
Yeah.
I have his book on order.
Mhm.
I plan on power reading it.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I want to know what the true full story of his words are.
Yeah.
And if I feel that there is a story there, well, guess what? Old Davey, as a journalist, has to do that digging now.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's talk to people.
No, for
But
sure.
the way people are, I'm unsubscribed.
Yeah.
You know how many people actually say that compared to do it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's 100 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
100 people will say I'm offended or I'm unsubscribing.
Yeah.
And yet only one person actually does.
Yeah. No, you're right. I find that I'm in agreement with you. And what I'm finding is that you're exactly right when it comes to that 5-second attention span. This could be taken completely out of context, but people build, like you say, on that super quick, oh, that's what it said. And I guess, for lack of a better term, I find it lazy, because that's not, I mean,
we're all looking for those aha caught ya moments.
right. The smoking gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to read the book.
Yeah. No,
I think that's only fair. And look, Elizondo, if he
Mhm.
was going to be prosecuted for anything that happened at Guantanamo Bay, okay.
Yeah.
If he says anything that would get him prosecuted, I'm sure there are people watching him within the government who would say, you know what? He slipped up in his book.
Mhm.
Let's go get him.
Yeah.
Let's put him on trial.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened yet.
No.
Okay. So, I understand that. I understand that he used the nicknames that he was called. Would I want to cross the guy? No. He looks like he can bench press 500 pounds.
Yeah. No kidding. Right.
And fight his way out of a wet paper bag.
Mm-hmm. No problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just his chin hair. Never mind his arms, his fists, or whatever.
Yeah.
But
No.
unfortunately, when it comes to military,
Mhm.
there are people who have jobs that unfortunately make them do things like
Yes. Yeah.
that.
For
Okay.
sure.
To
For
the
sure.
extent we don't know.
Mhm.
Okay. But we're going to find out.
Yeah.
We're going to find out here in just a couple of weeks. I know the book is released on the 20th.
Yeah.
Okay. My copy of the book is supposed to be here on the 21st. So, looking at my calendar here, that would be a Wednesday. I can tell you right now that from the 24th and 25th,
Yeah.
that book will be finished.
Yeah. So you're telling me not to text you, phone you, buddy?
Do not text me. Even if we go out to our Sasquatch spot.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm bringing the book with me.
Okay.
I'm bringing the book with me.
Sounds good.
But we have to do it that way.
Yeah. I agree. I think just, like you say, be informed before you make a decision, and just don't be knee jerks. Yeah.
And you know what? It's not like we're scolding people. Okay.
No,
we're not.
No.
Okay. But there is a little bit that does have to say, hold back.
Yeah. Yeah. Just dial it down for a bit.
Dial it down, relax.
Mhm.
And, we got to figure out. The book is going to tell us how he went from interrogator
Yeah.
at Guantanamo Bay
Mhm.
to a guy looking for UFOs.
That's right.
We're going to find that out here very, very soon.
Exactly.
Tim James is here. UFO report continues. And when we return, the Five Eyes.
Dun-dee-dee.
The Five Eyes. And what are the Five Eyes countries talking about UFOs? We will be right back on Spaced Out Radio. Final half hour right now.
This is Spaced Out Radio, and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear.
Yeah, the memes are out there too that are just brutal.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But that's, I know his YouTube account, he's been blocking the hell out of a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's him or the people who are with him, but
Yeah.
oh well.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Absolutely.
That was fun last night.
That was really fun last night.
Yeah.
Weird how everybody gets their different intuitions, and I'm just learning that sort of stuff, right? And it's, yeah, I could see stuff that Lorelai couldn't see and so on, and it's just like, okay.
The interesting part was right at the end there, where there was those heavy steps.
And that was weird because
What did you see when the flashlights came up?
Mhm.
When we heard the heavy step.
Yeah.
What did you see in the trees?
What I saw was, well, I call them pecker poles, trees. All I saw was, I said to Lorelai, hold the flashlight still.
Yeah.
And when she stopped, I saw in between the trees a shadow kind of just go foot, and back. And it was like, I couldn't make it out. I couldn't, but there was a shadow in there, and it wasn't. So, like I said, I started doubting myself right away, and I got told, don't doubt yourself. But yeah, those were two. I was like, holy smokes.
It was thump,
Mm-hmm.
and then flashlight up.
Yeah.
I was looking at a different angle.
Right.
I didn't see what I saw where you guys had the flashlight
Yeah.
pointed.
Yeah.
But I didn't see what.
Yeah, I was coming over her left shoulder. You were over to
Yeah.
her right there. But yeah, it was just enough. And I was like, and you think, oh, the flashlights move so the shadow so the trees are doing this. But no, she had her dead still.
See, if I would have had my better flashlight with me, I could have lit up the second part from where I was.
Yeah.
You because her flashlight drowned me out.
I know, right? I know.
Way to go, halogen flashlight Dave.
Yeah.
From 1995.
With the big, huge D batteries in them, or C batteries.
That flashlight's that's a butt kicker, that flashlight.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
I have a rechargeable one.
Mm-hmm. But where is it? Right.
My feeling is it's in the back of the Jeep with all the other stuff in there. So I'm going to have to go in there and check it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it wasn't Dave squatting behind a log alone. Patrick. You dirty jerk.
Dirty jerk.
Yeah. But
yeah, no, it was good last night. But that lightning one, it was like, okay.
Yeah.
Time to get out of here.
It was weird though, how we had that sighting.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, like 5 minutes later, boom, right over top of us. If that.
Yeah. 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 It was like, oh, okay.
Like once that started, I didn't want to pack up, but all of a sudden the lightning started.
Yeah.
And well, that means it's time to go.
And we're in a tinder dry forest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Time to move.
Yeah. Exactly. So we're gonna see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We're going to see what is going on. Simon the Likeable, how you doing? Nice to see you. We got about 90 seconds here.
Okay.
90 seconds. Big thank you tonight to Deborah Rooney, Eternity, West Area 53, Noble Patrick, Big Dog, Kira, and CS for the great super chats. So glad to have your love and support, guys. Like, seriously, we did miss you. We totally missed you guys on the broadcast. It made for some lonely nights, honestly.
It was weird.
Yeah.
That's the new word, isn't it? Weird. Yeah, it was strange. I found it, even though I've been here such a short time. It was different from a person sitting back and watching your show, not being able to watch it.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Necessary Dialogue, River Dog. Good to see you guys. Thank you for coming on in. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we accomplished a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and stuff that people just don't see, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it, to cut one piece of audio just the way you like it,
Mm-hmm.
that's an hour and a half minimum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, finding the right sound. No, that doesn't work. That's too quiet. That's too loud. That's drowning out this. That's drowning out that.
Yeah.
You know, it was like,
Take 20.
All right. We're going to get going here momentarily. Sit tight. All right, final half hour Spaced Out Radio is underway as we rounded third and we're heading for home. My name is Dave Scott. We love being able to broadcast the high strangeness to you each and every night on our terrestrial affiliates and on every major podcast network. Reminder, our archives are always free. You can download them at any time on YouTube or any major podcast network. Only thing I want in return, hit subscribe, hit follow, give us a good recommendation.
Yeah,
I don't think that's too much to ask.
Not at all.
Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Got a bunch of new swag on there. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tim James is here. We are talking about the UFO report. And on the Liberation Times, we talked about this a little bit with Steve Bassett, our guest tonight. But apparently, there's been some news coming out about the Five Eyes. Now, for people who are just tuning in, don't know what the Five Eyes is, this is a defensive treaty between the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand. But apparently, it also now involves UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
What did we learn, Tim?
Well, I learned that the British aren't very happy, right? Yeah, just we had, what was it? Sorry, got to grab my notes. I'm sorry about that. Five Eyes. So what they had was, I guess the UK had stepped back and said, we're not investigating anymore. We're done with UFO stuff, paranormal, whatever. We're done with it. So the report came out that the UK sent two of their members of the Ministry of Defense to this meeting with the Pentagon. So the British people are absolutely upset beyond belief about this. They're not surprised, but they're just calling them outright liars. And I guess the Freedom of Information Act that disclosed that this had occurred, the gentleman that had requested it is quite polite about it. Well, this is a good thing. Maybe then we'll have a little more information given to us. And it's like you and I were talking about. It's such a British way, and I'm Irish British, so but it's such a British way of being non-confrontational about it and turning a negative into a positive, right?
Oh, very true.
Yeah. But like I say, the people that the British citizens are there's not very many happy people.
Well, you know what? I think that the reason why they're unhappy, Nick Pope is the one who was able to get the FOIA request or the Freedom of Information request out of the UK regarding this,
right,
is because we know these governments are tied together. It's not just a treaty over defense or food or shipping or goods and services. We know they're tied in other ways.
Yeah.
And let's face it, since the world wars in the last century, the U.S. and the U.K., even though they did some battle back in the 1800s, 1700s, okay, they are locked at the hip with making sure that the Western world is safe and that they share knowledge all the time. So to think that this subject is big in the United States, but not being discussed in the UK is unconscionable.
Yeah.
It is a conversation.
Yeah.
And the fact that Nick Pope was able to get that FOIA request to get those two gentlemen or those two people, pardon me, to come out and say that they have gone out and they were attending the Five Eyes meetings that Arrow put on regarding the UFO subject.
Yeah.
It is something that I find very intriguing, because in the House of Lords just a year and a half, 2 years ago, when the official opposition was asking about UFOs, they got shot down immediately.
Yeah.
We're not discussing this. We don't want to talk about it. And we've talked to good friends over there, whether it's Grant Levac or who's investigated it from Australia, or Vinnie Adams or Christopher Sharp, many others who have been pushing their sources to say, let's get it going here. Like, what are we waiting for? Why do we always have to be last in the conversation?
Right.
Much like we feel right here in the fellow Commonwealth of Canada. But but you know, the big thing that we need to do here is we need to get that information. The only way we get that information is when things are called out. Now we have that information and we could call it out. The question is, how far or how deep does it go?
Right.
That's what we don't know.
I have no idea. No clue. No clue at all. I'm kind of at a loss at this one, because it's you don't know. I mean, you've got I shouldn't say every, Australia and New Zealand I can't speak for, but obviously Canada, the United States, the UK with this new information. I'm sure everybody's fibbing, right? We don't know anything. We don't know what's going on. I mean, I'm looking at it too, and with the British or with the UK, they specifically said that we are not doing anything else with any of this. We're done. It's over. We're washing our hands of it. But then they turn around and they, like I say, they end up going to the Pentagon. At least Canada and the US, and like I said, I can't speak because I don't know about Australia or New Zealand, but at least they kind of go, they give you tidbits. It sounds like Britain, just sounds like, they're just outright fibbing to their country. So,
well, let's take a look at what Chris Sharp has to say. He is saying, in response to a Freedom of Information request by former MOD official Nick Pope, the UK's Defence Intelligence Secretariat confirmed that 2 members of staff from the Defence Intelligence were in attendance during the inaugural UAP Caucus Working Group forum held at the Pentagon in D.C. in 2023. This event, hosted by the U.S. government's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, itself dedicated to investigating UFOs. I'm not going to use it. It's filled with UAP. Sharp's a real UAP guy.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about the real subject of UFOs, not man-made objects here.
Thank you.
Okay. It includes update on UFOs from the Five Eye members, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and the USA. The Five Eyes is an intelligence alliance comprising these 5 countries focused on cooperation in signals intelligence. This collaboration enhances the members' countries' ability to share information and conduct joint operations. And according to Pope, quoted by Christopher Sharp, he says, I am pleased that the UK continues to engage on UAP as part of the Five Eyes Alliance and is actively involved in the Pentagon's UFO Caucus Working Group. The MOD's Defense Intelligence leads the world's in many aspects of intelligence gathering and assessment, and I am confident that the UK is making a major contribution. It's frustrating that the public can't be told more, but I fully understand and accept the reasons for this. Well, of course you do, Nick. Right? I mean,
Right?
I'm just gonna say this. Okay.
Uh-huh.
How can I say this politely?
Do you really want to say it politely?
Well, you know
Yeah.
what? It's great that he got the news out.
Yeah.
Stop wagging the tail on both sides.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Stop wagging the tail. Take a side for once. Are you pro UFO
Right.
or are you not?
Yeah.
Okay. We're tired of the breadcrumbs.
Mhm.
Tired of the breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to really move forward. You took a big step there moving forward, Nicky boy.
Yeah.
Okay. And then all of a sudden you're like, but you know,
Exactly.
the pints that I have with the boys out at the local tavern after a day's work talking about this subject, they're good guys. They mean well.
Yeah.
Take a stance.
Exactly.
You don't have to be politically correct on everything. That's why you are making major money as an analyst for many media companies regarding this subject.
Exactly.
You're making money off of this. Have a stance. Have an opinion.
Agreed.
Oh my!
No, that's good. That's well, I guess that's polite, but no, you're right. You're 100% right. You can't push and pull at the same time, right? You've got to pick a side, do what you're supposed to be doing, and like you said, he went to this effort to get this disclosure and get this freedom of information, and it did open some doors, but don't step away from it. Don't. I don't understand it. So I guess we'll see what's going to happen there. But like I say, a lot of the people out there are not happy about the blatant.
Right. But you know what? We have to be able to take that stand.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
There's nothing wrong with taking a stand on things.
No, of course not.
Okay. Pope goes on to say, given the importance, or let me finish that last statement.
Yeah.
He goes, it's frustrating that the public can't be told more, but I fully understand and accept the reasons for this. That said, I hope we can continue to move things forward so long as it doesn't compromise national security. Disclose a bit more over the next few months. Okay, then he goes on to say, given the importance that the Pentagon attaches to this topic, and given the need to be to best represent the UK in terms of Five Eyes engagement, I strongly suggest or suspect that the head of Defense Intelligence Capability Assessment, an SCS or Senior Civil Service pay band, one position, would have attended personally. That's good. You're giving info. I suspect the second attendee was at a lower rank grade, was probably a deep specialist in adversary small UAS unmanned aerial systems development. I don't want to say too much more here, as I suspect this is getting close to the line in terms of classification. So then he goes on to mention, in over 50 years, no sightings of extraterrestrial intelligence, unidentified flying objects, and unidentified aerial phenomena reported to us indicated the existence of any military threat to the United Kingdom. That's an interesting point right there. Let me tell you why. Canada also disclosed a couple years ago that there was no military threat or threat to our airspace.
Right.
And yet, what have we heard out of the United States? It's all about a threat narrative.
Yeah.
So the fact that the UK is talking about there is no threat from any UFOs or UAP, I find that very interesting, because that goes against the grain of the big dog. And now two of the five eyes are now saying there is no threat. There is no threat of UFOs gaining air superiority or becoming a danger or a hindrance to aircraft flying in the UK sky, the Canadian sky, but there seems to be one in the US sky. Well, we know why. We know why. It's money. That's why. It's money.
True.
Okay. Threat narratives in the United States create billion-dollar budgets.
Yeah, I guess they would, wouldn't
Okay. Anytime I gotta, this reminds me of a pet peeve that I have right now.
they? Peeve away, my
I
friend.
have a pet peeve. And whoever the moron is who invented this, I tell you right now, I hope your beer is always warm. I hope your steaks are always raw. Okay. And that your potatoes are always boiled, but to the point where they're still hard.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I hate about this person.
Wow, you're angry.
I am angry about this. Authentication codes.
Authentication codes.
Where in order to get into your account or get onto a website, you need to get an authentication code to your telephone.
Yes.
I called my cell phone provider the other day.
Yes.
I had to do not one, 2 different authentication codes.
Oh, yeah.
Just to get account information. So I asked the customer service rep, I said, why do you need to ask me all of these personal questions?
Right.
If you've already wasted my time by having me do these authentication codes.
Right.
I tell you, my Dave 101 is going to be angry over authentication codes. Like, let's talk about, dude, I have websites at my daytime job.
Yeah.
I have to put in an authentication code every time I log in. And I'm thinking to myself, because I know what I do during the day.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking there thinking, you realize there's nothing to protect here.
Yeah. Yep.
All you're doing is protecting cost. You're not protecting anything else.
That's right.
Okay. Somebody is making billions of dollars
Oh, yeah.
off of fear mongering, off of people hacking websites.
Yep.
And hacking into that. And I realize that's a problem. I'm not naive.
No, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
But they are selling fear mongering. Okay.
We could go down that path.
Well, we are going down that path because the story ties to UFOs.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Okay. We're watching all of these big players talk about a threat narrative to everything from helicopters in the Army to United States Air Force, Navy, and Marine jet aircraft to airliners flying from New York to Tokyo and every state in between.
Yeah.
And apparently just in the United States, not north of the border in Canada, not south of the border in Mexico, just in the United States, there is a major threat to airspace that is being taken up by these UAPs. Okay. Now, what kind of UAPs are we talking? Are we talking UFOs?
Right.
Or are we talking man-made objects, which is a UAP?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Because we need to define the narrative.
Yeah.
All right. If it's UFOs, Canada, the UK have stated UFOs are not a threat. They're being seen in the sky, but they are not a threat.
Right.
And yet the gracious, and trust me, I say this with all due respect because I love the United States.
Yeah, me too.
If I could pick up and move down to my favorite city, Las Vegas, Nevada,
yeah,
okay, and make that happen and broadcast spaced out radio from the middle of the desert of Nevada,
that'd be cool.
Dave would be a happy guy.
Yeah.
Even when it's 122 degrees outside. And trust me, I prefer Fahrenheit over Celsius.
Yeah.
Okay. I prefer pounds over kilograms.
I know. Yeah.
And Lord knows I prefer an inch over a centimeter. Okay. That's just me.
Yeah.
Okay. But when it comes to UFOs, we have an issue. There is no threat. Threat narrative is for budget. It is for scaring people in order to get budgets created. And from what I'm hearing behind the scenes, the billions are already starting to be spent.
Oh, yeah.
They are starting to be spent, and they are starting to realize that there is a whole different group of technology and science that once this happens, we are going to be inundated with new technology.
Yeah.
Now, for us in the public, we may not see it for 20 to 50 years.
Yeah.
Maybe longer. Probably not in our lifetime.
Yeah.
However, we do see it happening right now, that they are going to be getting new toys.
Sure.
Because remember, people, airliners are outside of the technology in the cockpit.
Mhm.
Airliners are still the same after 70 years of flight.
Yeah.
A Boeing 707 way back in the day, okay, and a 737, which is
Mhm.
the most popular airline jet right now flying next to an Airbus.
Yep.
It's still the same shape. And guess what? It still travels at the same speed
Yeah.
as it did 70 years ago.
Yeah.
There's no improvement.
No.
The technology is more improved.
That's it. You're flying by wire,
But
right?
you would think after 70 years, it still wouldn't take
Mm-hmm.
6 hours to fly from Vancouver, which is the closest major airport to us,
Yeah.
to New York.
Yeah.
Or 5 hours, Vancouver to Toronto. Or even 4 hours, 3.5 hours to fly Vancouver to Dallas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those flights should be happening a lot quicker
I would think so
by
too.
now.
Yeah.
All right. Now,
Mhm.
of course, you got to go safety and speed and
Yeah.
climate and all the
Parameters that have to be met.
parameters and rigmarole. I get that.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's remember, this is over budget.
Yeah.
It's not over UFOs. It's not about non-human intelligence,
Mhm.
aliens, or any other idiotic acronym we
Yeah.
can see the government come up with, like UAP.
Yeah.
Okay. God, I hate that term.
It's verbal judo. That's my brother uses that term all the time. And yeah, that's exactly what it is. UAP. It's verbal judo. And you're right. I never quite thought of it like that. I mean, but yeah, you are right. It's money. It's all about the dollar, right? And yeah, and fear mongering. And well, just watch the news. I don't even think it's news anymore. It shouldn't
Well, I mean, that's another topic for
another
night.
day. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. That's another topic for another day. But now we wait and see.
Yeah.
Now we wait and see to see what is going on.
Mhm.
And I love it that the fact that the United Kingdom believes there is no threat
Yes.
to their airspace.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
get a
for
lot
sure.
of UFO sightings over there.
A ton.
Okay. But there's not any threat.
Yeah.
Not since whatever, the
Yeah.
Foo Fighters of World War II.
Right. Yeah.
And the gremlins that used to crawl into the planes.
That's right.
There's a story we need to do on this show.
That'd be cool.
I would love to find somebody on that.
Mhm.
Tim, thank you so much for coming on and
You're welcome, sir.
doing the UFO report. And thank you to Steve Bassett for being our guest tonight. As we say hello, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with the little brother who's watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking it, sitting down of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Elgin, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Blue Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, guess what? We got room for them too. Good night, everybody. There we go. I love the way that ends. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the way it is, man.
Uh-huh.
It's the way it is. Well, I only got 3 shits to clear up.
I
Steve.
know. I was watching you, Mark.
Oh yeah, 3 shits. That's actually, if I go back in time, that's probably you either tied the record or right.
Yeah.
So
I heard the S-bomb a few times. I was like, oh yeah, marking it out.
Yep. That's good though. Steve's a great guy. He means well.
I know. I'm sitting there the whole time going, oh yeah, Tim's doing the UFO report after this. Boy, this is going to be fun. It's like, hi, I'm a grade 3er that I'm going to come out and play after Van Halen just got off the stage, right?
Right. Oh my goodness.
A tough act to follow.
Right. Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
We even changed our logo on the Spreaker. I got rid of my photo and
just put the owl up.
Just put the owl on. Yeah.
Yeah. Looks good on camera too. It's the first time I've actually seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does look good.
I thinking so, sir.
It does look good. That's what we do around here. We spice things up a little bit. Make things happen.
Yeah. No, it looks good. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys are so nuts at the last incident.
Oh, God. It is a little ridiculous.
Well, like you said, you get all those little things piling up, and after a while, it's time to get rid of stuff. Get caught up, get changed. No, that's good.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. What's that? Might as well jump. Oh, well, we're going to go there.
Yeah, you got to show the shoes.
Wearing these tonight.
Yeah.
Legit 88 Van Halen 5150s.
He would do anything to make a new guitar sound. Like with the drill for pound cake.
Yeah. I tried that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. And it works like totally crazy. It's nuts.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I'm gathering. Well, you've got your pickups, and then what's happening is the drill is just the pickups are picking up on the windings.
Okay, I'm gonna light you up in front of the audience here. I'm gonna light you up here.
Okay.
Roth or Hagar?
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Purist. Roth. I love them both. I love Sammy. 2 different bands, but for me, I stood in front. I skipped out of summer school to go get their first album.
You're old.
Yeah, I know I'm old. 1978. So
I was 5, just so you know. I was 5.
I was in summer school, and we'd heard it because you'd stay up late and listen to CFox, right?
Yeah.
Because the FM radio back then. So it's
back when DJs could actually play their own music.
Right. So I stayed up and listened to it, and I was like, oh my gosh. And they started off with Eruption. I was like, what the heck is that?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I skipped out, went and got the album. And and I fell in love with it. I wore so many copies of Van Halen 1 out. But yeah, I have to say the nucleus, the whole Van Halen thing was Dave, Mike, Alex, and Eddie. As far as I'm concerned, Sammy brought it to another level. Loved that stuff too. But if I had to choose between 2 collections, I'd definitely go with David.
And here I thought it would be the Eric Sharon version.
Oh God! From Extreme,
he was terrible with them.
That was a management thing, though, right? Because he was the dude that was managing Van Halen and Gary Sharon for Extreme. They were the same manager, so I guess Extreme had kind of fallen by the wayside, and they said, "Hey,
they're touring again." Like I liked Extreme
for sure,
but Sharon should have never been like that. That's the forgotten part of Van Halen.
Yeah.
It's like when Motley Crue, got rid of Vince Neil for a little while.
Whoa. Yeah, that was a different sound.
Yeah, I didn't like that. No. Or anybody that's tried to replace Sebastian Bach in Skid Row.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it. No. But yeah, I'd have to say I'm sticking with the purist, David Lee Roth, for sure. And you know what? Even when they got back together,
Yeah.
I love Wolfgang. Love Eddie's son. Great musician. He should not have been playing bass in that band.
No, because Michael Anthony went with Sammy.
Yeah.
You know, I got to tell you, I'm a Sammy Hagar guy over David Lee Roth.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I'm totally a Sammy guy.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my first Van Halen album was 1984.
Yeah.
When I saw the video.
I was a grade 12.
Yeah. I was 11. I was 11.
Yeah.
But I remember watching, you know, back then when the videos were really hot. I mean, watching the video to Panama, I was like, oh my God, this is the life for these guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what a great, like, this is it.
Yeah.
But then when I think it was OU 812 came out.
Yeah. Black and Blue.
And I just started listening. I was like, I like this better. Because, you know, the popular thing to do was to absolutely crap on the new guy.
Well, yeah. And it you had to pick a side, right?
Yeah. Like you had, perfect example. You had to pick a side.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, a lot of people, like, I'm a diehard Guns N' Roses fan.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And a lot of people were like, you know, over the years where, you know, when Duff and Slash left, they were like, kind of like, okay, well, it's Axl Rose and friends now.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you something. I've seen now the reunion tour 1, 2, 3 times. I saw the reunion tour, including show number 1.
No way.
In Las Vegas.
Right on.
Okay. And I've seen the band that people say was the makeup band.
Okay.
You know, that's where they had DJ Ashba, Ron Bumblefoot Thal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ashba and Bumblefoot, wicked musicians. There's no
and
question.
I will tell you, and I've said this to Bumblefoot, not just because he does our music.
Yeah.
They were tighter.
Mm-hmm.
They were tighter. And to this day, they are still tighter than, you know, because Slash is amazing.
I totally get where you're going. Yeah.
But he can't play the Chinese Democracy album.
No.
He can't.
No.
You know, and Richard Ford has struggled with it. And, you know, to me, I don't think enough GNR fans give credit to the masterpiece that Chinese Democracy album was.
And that took forever.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Apparently, DJ Ashba said one time to a friend of mine who's good friends with him that Axl has probably enough for another 8-9 albums.
I wouldn't doubt it.
That have been recorded and never released. Like if Axl Rose died tomorrow, we'd get brand new Guns N' Roses music for the next 25 years. I mean, there's still hidden gems of Elvis coming out every now and then, right?
Well, it's funny because I know Mike Fraser, and he obviously produced with Bruce Fairbairn and Bob Rock. He did Motley Crue, he did AC/DC, he did all of them, right? And that's the one thing that he said about Axl Rose. He goes, I've talked to him on different occasions and talked with people that would work with him. And he goes, he's almost Brian Wilson-ish.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, that's so cool because I love Brian Wilson. Like that guy's a genius. But that's what they said. He does the same thing. He hears it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it him, I guess, not so difficult, but I think that's what the misunderstanding is that he's working his butt off.
Yeah.
And people get a little annoyed with him. I mean, whatever. I don't know the man. So I can't, just what the media portrays or what I've seen on TV. But I mean, yeah, you're right though. There are a lot, like Guns N' Roses has that wicked sound with with Izzy and all that, but way more tighter. And DJ Ashba, even when he played with Nikki Sixx on 6 a.m., it's like,
dude can rock.
Oh, no question.
Now he's trying to create what he calls GDM, which is guitar dance music, like EDM except with guitar.
Oh, okay.
Some of his stuff's pretty good, but that's his passion right now. Brought on by his ex-wife.
Yeah.
But there's a guy who I would say, like, if I could tell him to his face, please get back into rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
Your EDM stuff is great, or your GDM stuff is great.
Right.
I've downloaded a couple of the tunes.
Sure.
I like it. Okay.
Yeah.
But let's get back into, like, I was really surprised. And I actually asked a buddy of mine who's really close to that group.
Right.
I said, Bud, why didn't DJ take, when Mick Mars was forced out of Motley Crue? I said, the logical explanation was DJ Ashba, because he's tight with all those guys
and Nikki
and Nikki,
right?
And he knows all their songs. And why did Johnny Five come in? Nobody knows. And he didn't know the answer to that, but it may have had something to do with the fact that A, his marriage was falling apart, and B, the fact that he had known Nikki, or pardon me, he had known Mick for a long time, and just felt he couldn't do that to Nick or Mick.
I'm thinking too. I know that, like you say, obviously there's a connection. But Nikki and DJ obviously in 6 a.m. But John 5 and Nikki go way back as well. But I think John 5 was also very good friends with Tommy Lee.
Yeah.
Right. But I think it would have been a better fit. Don't get me wrong, I like John 5. He playing his Telecaster way up here. Like
I don't understand why he plays it way up there.
I can't.
Like it's choking you.
Yeah.
And what's his name from Rage Against the Machine? Tony Moreno does that too.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
No. I mean, I can't play like that. I mean, I can play guitar, but I can't play. It's very uncomfortable. But I found I think DJ.
It's like golfers who use the long putters. Don't like that.
No. But yeah, I think DJ Asheville would have been a much better fit, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, when you got Joe Satriani calling up Axl Rose like Bumblefoot had, say, "Hey, you need this guy in your band," and Stephen Vai did the same thing too.
Yeah,
you know. But I know that Axl was hard to work with.
Well, and like I said,
because he's a perfectionist,
and it's exactly it, right? Have you seen any of the live stuff on the Best of All Worlds tour with Sammy going around right now?
No.
I love Sammy, and I loved what he did with Van Halen. I love all the guys, but they're good concert. Loverboy's opening for him the whole US tour.
I would like to actually see that.
It's pretty good. You go on YouTube; they've got the full concerts. They're putting them out every night. They're on. I think they're on days off right now. Saw something posted, but anyway, Sammy has having a tough time singing.
Yeah. Well, he's 74.
I know, but it's like, and I love his songs, and I love Michael Anthony. That's what I was going to name my son. That was going to be his middle name. His first name is Michael. I was going to, my ex-wife was like, not naming him after any of your rock guys. I'm like, okay, but it's Joe. I like the fact that Joe Satriani is not being or trying to be Eddie Van Halen, and he's adding his own flavor to the songs.
See, I don't like that.
I
don't like that. Axl actually had a rule for GNR, any GNR guitarist who came in, and whether it was Buckethead or Fortis or anybody, the old songs, the new songs that they played, they could play it any way they wanted.
Sure.
But the old songs that people knew, you had to play that to a T.
Right.
And not go off on your own tangent, because Axl knew that, it's like, I'll never go see Queen.
Yeah.
With what's his name?
Adam Lambert.
And because I watched online, because they were coming to Vancouver, and I thought, you know what? I've always wanted to see Queen. And then I watched Adam Lambert do his famous over singing of every song, making the songs sound like his.
Yeah.
They're not your songs.
No.
They're Queen songs. Okay, you're just the fill-in.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, on that, and I don't need to hear you go Mariah Carey over singing on every song.
Yeah,
well, I want you to sing the song the way Freddie sung it. You have a beautiful voice.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Okay, you're there for a reason because you're extremely talented. Okay, but do it properly. Don't do it the Adam Lambert way. Do it the Freddie Mercury way.
Okay, question. What did you think? I don't know if you saw it. I'm sure you did, because we're both music aficionados, or we love it so much. Paul Rogers when he'd sing it with Queen.
I liked it.
Me too.
He sung but don't forget, he was friends with Freddie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he wanted people after Freddie died, when they did that tribute tour,
Mhm.
he wanted people to hear the songs the way they were sung.
Yeah.
Supposed to be sung.
Yeah.
Nobody can replace Freddie.
No, of
Freddie's
course
the
not.
greatest front man ever. Ever.
I would say, yeah. I
Okay.
can't 100% agree with you, but I'm right there with you. He was phenomenal. There's no question.
All right. In my opinion, Freddie Mercury is the best front
Yeah.
man ever.
Yeah.
Okay. And close second, I would say Robert Plant.
Robert Plant's phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But for the rest of them, just sing the song the way it's supposed to be sung. It's like listening to all these people who try to do their own rendition of Star Spangled Banner.
Oh my God.
Or that lady who ruined the Canadian national anthem at the NBA All-Star game.
Yeah.
Where she changed the lyrics
Mm-hmm.
of the song.
Mm-hmm.
And and then she's like, we sat for 3 weeks going over the lyrics. They're not your lyrics.
Yeah.
They're the country's lyrics.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Give me the Whitney Houston version.
Oh,
That's what I want.
Yep.
Okay. I don't want this rendition. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. It's like, what was this? Oh, why don't I remember his name? National anthem for the Canucks.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Man,
Mark Donnelly.
Was the best. He didn't change it up. Yeah. There's certain things you just don't screw around with, right?
Yeah. It's like, you know what? I can say this. When I go to a sporting event,
Mm-hmm.
I sing both national anthems.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Because I think it's respectful.
Sure.
Okay. And the Star Spangled Banner is actually a very beautiful song.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Mhm.
I don't know the lyrics to God Bless America.
No, me either.
Okay. Or I think there's one more. What is it? America the Beautiful?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know the lyrics to that, but the Star Spangled Banner is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful song. Please sing it the way it's supposed to be sang.
I agree.
Okay.
I totally
That's all
agree.
I want.
Yeah.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
Don't make it yours, because it's not yours. It's the nation's.
Yeah. And it's same as when Fearless Leader changed our anthem.
Yeah.
I'm
Dear
like,
Leader. Oh,
oh,
it'll go back. It'll go back.
I hope so.
Yeah. Dear Leader will.
That's just me.
Oh, it's me too.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Who got cheese? How did you get kicked out of a Bob Dylan concert?
I saw Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Worst concert I ever saw.
Yeah. Best concert I ever saw. I was just 2 years into my first marriage. And my father-in-law at the time, super cool guy, said, I got 2 tickets to a concert. Him and his girlfriend were going. The other couple that was with him bailed. I said, oh, okay. He goes, you guys want to come with us? And I'm like, all right, go to a concert with my father-in-law and his girlfriend. What are we going to go see, right? Kid you not, 13th row floor, center stage for Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., and Dean Martin. The last concert that all 3 of them played together before Dean's son was killed.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
It was phenomenal. The best
Yeah.
concert, right? And how old was I then? Probably about 24.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't care. I was like,
Yeah.
the entertainment value and the sound and the showmanship. It was funny because, being a younger guy, when they'd come out and the theater, the stage was in the center, they'd come out from the corners, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when Frank came out, I've never seen so many blue-haired Geritol ladies lose their flipping minds. It was like,
I'm not gonna lie, I would have thrown my panties on stage.
it was nuts. It was nuts.
I would have. I
Yeah.
love Sinatra.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And if I could, I don't know if it was taped or if you can find that somewhere, but it was Vancouver in I think 80 or 90.
Best concert I ever went to.
Mm-hmm.
I had 19th row on the floor
Mhm.
for the 30th anniversary of The Wall.
No,
At
BC Place.
At BC Place. And I'm standing there beside Mrs. SOR.
Yeah.
It was a Christmas present. I remember opening it. I'm like, are you kidding me?
That is
Like, are you kidding me? Like today, those tickets would be about at least $2,000.
yeah, no
$3,000
question.
a piece.
No question.
Back then, like this going back, what, 10 years? No, 12, 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure she paid $500 a ticket for those. That was expensive back then.
Yeah.
But 19 rows on the floor, and I'm just staring up. And there's Roger Waters, and there's the wall,
Mhm.
and there's just no words.
No,
Like I saw the Division Bells tour.
that would have been good too.
That was in '94. That
Mhm.
was incredible. But I would say probably my favorite concert would have been The Wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, not my favorite concert, but I mean, I've been to so many. My stepdaughter, she was 15, and she die hard at 15. She's what, 23 now, 22, but die hard Black Sabbath fan. And I was like, okay. And I grew up listening to Sabbath and all the bands that we played, and we always played Paranoid and Iron Man and stuff. Anyway, they came, and it was their farewell tour, the legitimate farewell tour.
Yeah.
So we went there, and the tickets that we had, because her mother said, I'm not going. I said, I'll go. I'll take her. So, okay. The tickets we got were at GM Place, and we were up in the nosebleeds. I could almost touch the roof, right? We get there, and she's happier than a pig in poop that she's going. So we get up there, and the lady at the mezzanine, she goes, "Oh, your seats are just up there." I was like, "Okay, thank you." And I said, "Yeah, the kid's super excited. It's her first time she's ever seen Black Sabbath." Perfect. So about 20 minutes later, guy walks up to the top and kneels down beside. He says, "Is this your daughter?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Is she the one that's first Black Sabbath concert?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "I'm upgrading you." I was like, "Oh." Well, she was just beside herself. She didn't know what upgrading meant, but she knew it was something good.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to her, he goes, "Take these 2 tickets." He says, "Go down there." He says, "Go to the concierge or whoever it is. He'll show you how to get to where we're going." He goes, "Enjoy your evening." I was like, "Okay, cool." We went down, got the private elevator.
Nice.
And we ended up stage left, right beside Tony Iommi, or not even so, like, and you to me apart. So what's that? 7 feet, 8 feet. Standing, our seats, when we were standing out of our seats, you're level with the stage. He kept walking. I've got pictures on my phone. He kept walking over, and the kid's just like, yeah, right, throwing the horns up. He's walking over, and he's playing away, and he's smiling. And it was like unbelievable to be that close to all those guys, right?
The one thing about rock stars, though, is the one thing that I've noticed now that, like, my son is 11, they love seeing kids, like the younger kids.
Yeah.
Like when we had front row for Avatar in 2023, or 2022, pardon me, that band was always coming up to my boy. Like the members were always coming up to my boy. "Do you need water? You doing okay, little guy? You having fun?"
Right on.
And here's my boy. Woo, woo.
Awesome.
That's
awesome.
And the fact that he was able to get a couple of guitar picks from from his favorite guitarist there and all that. I mean, that's what memories are made of, right?
100%. 100%. Had to retire my tour shirt.
Yeah. Oh, River Dog says, "I just won tickets this morning to Five Finger Death Punch in Marilyn Manson in Vegas, September 9th. Last show." Oh my God, I'd love to see that show.
I think that the other line there says, "Dave, you're invited, so come down."
I hope that says.
I think that's what it says.
I wish I could make it.
No doubt.
Oh my God. I tell you, I love concerts.
Me too.
I talk like I've been to a lot of them. I haven't, but I've seen a lot of the bands.
Oh yeah.
And there's something about a concert that just is phenomenal.
Yeah. Rush.
It really is.
Rush concerts. I've been to so many Rush concerts.
I've never been to a Rush concert. I'm not a Rush fan.
Yeah. No, it's a guy band.
Oh, I know that. You know what? It's weird because I find myself recently, because I never follow Rush, never really got into their music, but all of a sudden Rush has been popping up everywhere in my feed lately. And now all of a sudden I'm like, maybe I need a little bit of this.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I need a little bit of that. And then it was watching how at the beginning of their show now they play Cartman starting off. Tom Sawyer.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Yep, it's good.
Right. I'm sure I would, you know, but it's just like Tragically Hip. I was the same way with the hip. Hated the hip.
Yep, me too.
Hated the hip.
Isn't that weird, eh?
And then by the time I was really getting into them, Gord Downey had brain cancer. And it's like, oh, God.
Yeah.
Why did you wait?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
My friend, he was visiting England. And he walks into this puny little tavern bar, and there's a Tragically Hip on stage for like $10.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
And this was right when New Orleans is sinking, and you know, all their hits were coming out.
Yeah. Yeah. My other fun one was going to Jeff Healy's club in Toronto on Yonge Street.
Yeah.
Down in the basement. They played like 4 sets, and then they had like a relief band that played 4 sets. So there's 8 sets the whole night. Fantastic. And small, intimate, and yeah, that was fun. But yeah, you're right. I love concerts. I love going to concerts.
One of the most underrated concerts I ever went to was I saw Big Sugar at a little dark nightclub in Abbotsford.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. You know, and I'm just standing there like literally it's the tape, because they didn't have a fence or anything.
Yeah.
It's literally the barrier, you know, like you would at the bank, you know, the velvet ropes.
Yeah.
That speakers, they're right there.
Nice.
And I was like, oh yeah.
No doubt.
Uh-huh.
Well, the guy I wanted to see and I never got to see, and I bypassed it because I'll see him next time, was Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Oh man.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that one would suck.
It did.
That one would suck.
Yeah, I'll see him next time he's in town. What?
Yeah. If I could see anybody again that I would like to see, I've never seen. I've seen Def Leppard twice. I'd love to see Def Leppard.
They're good.
I didn't like Aerosmith in concert.
Them and the other band I did, ZZ Top in concert too, was just kind of.
I never saw them.
Oh,
I never seen Bon Jovi.
No
intent. I would like to get tickets that are close to the floor for Metallica.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because my boy loves Metallica. And you know, I think that would be a wonderful experience for him. But you know what? The shitty part about it is like with today's music, because they're not making anything off of any money off of albums anymore. That's why tickets have gone through the roof.
Yeah.
That's why Taylor Swift tickets are $1,200 a piece for a nosebleed.
Yeah.
Okay. It's because that's how they're making their money now. They have to price gouge the concerts.
Sure.
In order to make the money that they are losing off the sales of albums, because iTunes killed it all.
Oh, for sure.
You know, and Napster, well, beginning with Napster,
yeah,
it killed it all.
See, the thing is, too, is that you'll see that a lot of the accomplished more bands that have been around for a while now, they're not releasing albums for that reason.
They're releasing singles.
They're exactly. And maybe 2 at a time, 3 at a time, and then they'll wait because they're in no hurry and they're not making any money off it, right?
Rob G, I knew Dave was a Swiftie. I would go see Taylor Swift in concert.
Would you?
Absolutely, I would. You know why? I would want to see the experience. Just the experience.
Okay.
All right. You know, I'm not a fan. Don't know a single lyric to her song. Don't know a song.
Yeah, me either.
But I would go just for the experience to say, hey, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Right.
No, fair enough. No desire to see her. And it just because I just don't have any interest. It's not that I dislike her or anything. Just
Yep. I hear you. On that note, we're going to say goodnight to you guys.
Good night, guys.
Tomorrow night on the show, Geraldine Orozco will be here with the Spiritual You. Well, of course, we'll get into some aliens and stuff with her. And don't forget to check out our brand new swag. If you guys haven't seen it yet, we got some good stuff here. Let me just quickly show you here. Let's go here. Let's share screen.
I want that hoodie. I saw it earlier.
Let's go to product. Now, see this part here. Hold on. Come on. Okay. See this part here where it says Canada, the US. Don't worry about that crap. I got to get that removed. I don't even know what that is. Okay. You can just go on. So look at that. Brand new hat. Brand new Sasquatch hat. Brand new Bigfoot Lives t-shirt. All right. Look at those underwear. El Ovni Volador shirts. Come Fly With Me shirts. New Bigfoot tank tops. And this is hide and seek championship stuff here. All right. We'll give you a little view on this one. See, there it is. Oh, come on. Let me just zoom in here. There it is. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Right? We got all that kind of cool stuff for you now. All right. Go back. You get your I Am Pam t-shirts. You got this one here. I love this one. This one was courtesy of Jackie. Look at that logo. Look at that logo.
Which one? Sorry, I missed it.
Oh, you're watching the delay.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, here it comes.
There,
right there.
Oh, that is cool.
Look at that logo.
Mhm.
We own the night.
Yeah, very cool.
Okay. That's a very cool logo.
I like the hoodie with the owl head.
Yeah.
Face it. I really
We
like
got
that.
the Lee extra small shirt right there. All right.
Lee extra small strap.
We got the You Got Aliens hat. This is one of my favorites. All right. If you haven't checked this out, check this one out. Right there. Right. You need this one. I know Tim Mothman and his goatee will be buying this one. Look at that. It doesn't have to hurt, people. SOR Alien Lube with Bill WD-40 on it.
Nice.
All right. We now know what Bill WD-40 looks like. All right. I gotta see the comments on this one here. Hold on. Oh, yes.
I'd buy one.
Oh, Tim's buying one for him and his goatee. Right? Doesn't have to hurt, people. Doesn't have to hurt. That's right.
That's cool.
All right. So we got that one. This one's kind of cool too. And we'll zoom in on this one. There you go. Ready to be probed? Uh-huh. There is a Woo Train shirt on the website. You can go search through. All right.
That's funny.
We're trying to have some fun here. Notice no ugly swag. There's nothing ugly about that.
Nope.
That's a great picture with great font. No ugly swag there.
None at all.
All right. So let's go check out what else we got here. Let's go to page 3 of the new stock. We got these really cool cups right here. Oh, I don't want that. I want that. Look at those new. Oh, back. How do I go back? I don't know. New SOR. We own the night cups with the owl. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
We got candles. We got a backpack for you. So if you want a backpack that says we own the night, look at that. We got a backpack for you. We got the this new hat here. The SOR logo stitched in. That's kind of nice. We got the new SOR blankie that has a UFO logo on the bottom. I'll zoom in on this one for you. Yeah, it's a white blanket. And on the bottom, oh, come on. There it is. Look at that nice little logo there. We got that logo on a t-shirt too. Right? You get your own SOR blankie right there. And then we got golf balls. This is a good one here that we did. The We Own the Night shirt. Right there. Got the owl with the We Own the Night. Got that. That one's fun. Look how fun that is. Nothing ugly. We got the SOR hockey puck. We got new shoes. We got these ones here. Tim, you're going to want these.
What, the shoes?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Look at those.
I'm waiting for the delay.
Watch the tongue when you get the upper view here.
No way.
Oh, yeah. And then the back. Hold on. There's one side. There's the other side. Coming up.
Oh, okay.
There's one side. And then the other side.
Sweet.
Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah.
And I even specifically measured out where to put the logo on them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And what else do we got here? We got a new tumbler. A white tumbler.
That hockey puck looks strangely familiar.
If you want SOR flasks, because you got to keep a place to have the moon juice available. Right there. We got truckers hats for Sweet Robbie G. Right here. Check these bad boys out. Look at that logo. After Hours with Rob G. Right there. Gorgeous hat.
Mm-hmm.
And we got the UFO Attack t-shirt. This is kind of fun. Well, you guys see this as soon as it loads. There we go.
Tim Mothman says, I need all of these.
Look at that. That's a cool one. They come. Watch out. Run for your lives. Right. So you got that. We got new UFO hoodies, UFO hats.
It's Swagapalooza.
Oh, dude. This one's kind of cool. We did a hoodie. I love the green. I do admit, I love the green. I may buy this one for myself. Look at that logo on the green.
Yeah. That's the one I was talking about. I like the dark charcoal one or whatever. I was checking it out. Yeah, that's so cool.
That's a cool one.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. Loved it. Love it.
Yeah, looks really good.
Yeah, that one looks really good. So there, and you got aliens, yes or no planchette, Woo Train pillow. Yeah.
Right on.
Lots of cool swag right there.
And you know what? It's not ugly.
It's not ugly at all. No ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. We'll see you tomorrow night, everybody. Have a good one. And Geraldine Orozco tomorrow night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.